Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. All the news in the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Podcast, the Monday edition. This is where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta. I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today, and as always, you can catch us on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions or just give your 2 cents, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. Hit option 1 if you want to talk to us, and we're going to be here till about, what time is it, 8 o'clock now, 8 p.m. Eastern. 9:30, 10 o'clock we'll be here till. Today, we're going to talk about a Tyson Fury comeback. Oh, no, not so fast, man. Let's just say he looks like he's been enjoying himself lately. Triple G now has his own line of luxury watches. We'll talk about that. Mikey Garcia calls out Keith Thurman. That's right. Welterweight Keith Thurman gets called out by lightweight Mikey Garcia. But first, we get started with HBO pay-per-view. Gennady Golovkin, Triple G versus Daniel Jacobs for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world. Gennady Golovkin defended his middleweight championship for the 18th straight time by defeating Daniel Jacobs by the scores of 115-112 twice and 114-113. This was the first time that Triple G had gone 12 rounds in his career. Think about that for a minute. I mean, this is the first time he's gone 12 rounds in his whole career. The 12-round decision also put an end to Triple G's 23 fight knockout streak. The fight was a game of cat and mouse in the first few rounds, but in the fourth round, the two got into a fight, and Triple G dropped Jacobs with 2 right hands. Jacobs didn't look hurt, though. He got back up. He continued to fight. The key to the fight for Triple G seemed to be his uppercut. He would launch that uppercut and smack Jacobs in the face almost every time he threw it. That and his jab. I said before, Daniel needed to use his jab, and he did. He did a good job of it, but Triple G also had a good jab and seemed to push the pace with that jab. He would catch Jacobs over and over with that uppercut, rocked him quite a few times. The jab was also paying dividends for him as he tried controlling range with it. It was like a power jab. Every time Triple G throws that jab, he's got bad intentions on it. Every time he throws a punch, he's got bad intentions on it. Jacobs also had quite a few moments and seemed to have a good game plan. He used a lot of movement and controlled the distance very well in this fight, as we predicted he would. Triple G does a great job of cutting off the ring, but honestly, it didn't matter in this fight. Every time Triple G cut the ring off, he had him cornered. Jacobs used his footwork, movement to get out of harm's way. He would even come in close. Sometimes he would grab him, and then sometimes he would just get in his chest. And that was the way, he just combated. It was beautiful. And he confused Triple G for most of the fight. I got to be honest, man. I thought he confused him with his movement. But there were definitely times Danny was moving but not throwing much. And that's what the judges saw for Triple G winning those rounds. Triple G landed 231 of 615 with a connect rate of 38%. Danny Jacobs landed 175 of 541 for a connect rate of 32%. The attendance of the fight actually was 19,939. I was at Madison Square Garden. It was packed. I didn't see an empty seat in the arena, so if it wasn't a sellout, I'll tell you what, it was real, real close. Incidentally, I had the fight scored 114-113 for Daniel Jacobs. That's how I saw the fight. A lot of people said Jacobs got robbed. No, it wasn't a robbery. Definitely wasn't a robbery. It was a close fight. It could have went either way. I thought it could have went either way. I've had some people tweet me today saying that, I watched the fight again and I thought Triple G won, or I thought, whatever. As my custom, I kind of stuck to it. I only score the fight one time. I don't score it twice. And that's kind of what I saw. I had it Jacobs winning the second half of the fight easily. I had Triple G winning the first 4 rounds. I thought that, Jacobs just wasn't doing much. But when Jacobs got in, he got hot in the second half of the fight and started controlling things. I thought he actually won the fight down the stretch. I actually I had it draw up until the 11th round, and then I given Jacobs the 12th round. So I had a 114-113 for Jacobs. Honestly, if you had it the other way, you can't really argue with it. The judges had it 115-130. You can't really argue with that. It could have gone either way. It was a tough, competitive fight. It was funny. I heard a lot of people at the end of it saying that they thought Triple G was exposed. They thought that Daniel Jacobs exposed Triple G. Why? Because he couldn't knock him out. I don't know that he'd been exposed. I think exposed kind of a harsh term for, I don't think he was exposed. I think he was just in there with a tough fighter. This was the best fighter. You guys got to think about it. This is the best fighter he's been in his career, so it's one of those things, man. So Beeb, you saw the fight. You also picked Danny Jacobs with me. How did you score the fight, and what did you think of Jacobs?
I thought Jacobs was outstanding. I didn't think he made a ton of mistakes. I thought the one mistake that he did make was when he was switching from orthodox to southpaw, and he kind of squared his feet up, and that's why I think he got knocked down in the 4th round. For the most part, though, I think his strategy was sound. He was really intent on not letting Triple G get up close and move his hands on the inside. I thought that was a big part of the strategy. And I thought Triple G's jab was good. But when I was watching this fight, again, that's why these punch stats always baffle me, because when I was watching this fight, and I'm going to ask you the same question because you were there live, it didn't really look like Golovkin was outworking Danny Jacobs. It looked like Danny Jacobs seemed to me to be the busier fighter. And he was the guy who was throwing more combinations, I thought, and putting his shots together a little better and setting them up a little bit better than Golovkin. Now, Golovkin's jab was really good, and his right hand was pretty good. But I think the big thing here with the southpaw stance is, I don't know if the intention was to try to take that left hook away, but fighting out of that southpaw stance, it's really hard to land a left hook against a southpaw fighter. That's why, the best weapon against a southpaw is the right hand. So I thought early in the fight, I thought Triple G was landing some good right hands. But as the fight wore on, I thought Danny was kind of that right hand a little bit better, and he was not catching it, flush. He was kind of catching it on the tail end, and he was somewhat rolling it and pulling away from it a little bit. So the right hand didn't have as much impact as it did probably in the early to middle rounds. But I think, Triple G's claim to fame is that left hook. When you look at all the highlight reel knockouts or stoppages of Triple G, that left hook is the killer punch. It's the finisher. And I believe that's the same punch that broke Kell Brook's orbital bone. You saw what it did to Curtis Stevens. Now, by taking that punch away, again, if you're going to have to gamble with Triple G, keep on the outside, still dangerous, but less dangerous. If you're going to have to gamble on a punch that you want to probably stay away from, it's that left hook that you really got to watch out for. The right hand's no cupcake, but it's that left hook that's the money punch. So I think because, Daniel Jacobs was not hit with any real flush left hooks, you saw him be able to take all the other punches better. And the uppercut, I thought that Daniel Jacobs took the uppercut very well. But the big thing here was not letting Triple G get in his comfort zone, not letting him corner Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs did not allow himself to get cornered in this fight, was not trapped on the ropes at any time. And as soon as he was in a position where he could not punch and Triple G was close to him, he grabbed him, tied him up, and he was pushing him back. So size was definitely a factor in this fight. The first time I watched the fight, I scored it 114 to 113 for Jacobs. I watched it again, and I ended up giving the 12th round to Jacobs. So I had it 115 to 112. But again, when I was scoring the rounds, I could sit there and say, I'm going to give this round to Jacobs. I think he won the round. But I could see how other scorers would not give him certain rounds. Like the first round, I gave it to Jacobs, but not one judge gave the first round to Jacobs, which was interesting. And the second round, I thought Jacobs won. Third round, I gave to Golovkin. But again, a lot of people gave that third round to Jacobs. Could have went either way. I thought that Golovkin clearly won the 4th and the 5th. I thought Jacobs clearly won the 6th and the 7th. And I also gave him the 8th, and a lot of people gave that 8th round to Golovkin. and I gave Jacobs 10 and 11, but I noticed a lot of people gave Golovkin that 11th round. So the scorecards were all over the place. If you look at the 3 judges' scorecards, 2 of the judges actually gave Jacobs the 12th round. But if you listen to Harold Letterman and the HBO crew, they were totally convinced 100% that Golovkin won that 12th round. So, again, it's really hard to argue here. But this is the thing. This is the big thing, and this is why the criticism is out there for Golovkin. It's the same thing with Manny Pacquiao. When Manny Pacquiao was fighting, they were telling everyone, all his fans were like rabid dogs. Oh, Manny Pacquiao could beat Roberto Duran. He could beat Sugar Ray Leonard. He's the best fighter of all time. And it was the same thing with Gennady Golovkin. People who, you either love Gennady Golovkin or you hate Gennady Golovkin. There's not a lot of people in the middle. I'm pretty much in the middle. I think he's a good fighter, but I just don't put him. I don't think he's like one of those special fighters. Like, he's not Floyd Mayweather level. He's not even Manny Pacquiao level to me. But that's not a knock. When you say somebody's overrated, that doesn't mean that you're saying they're a bad fighter. That you're saying that they're subpar. Because, again, this was the best opponent of his career. That's what everyone said. And even still, I think you, myself, maybe Jacobs and Jacobs' family and his training team were the only people that thought he could win this fight. So if this is the best opponent of your career and nobody thought that he could stand in there 12 rounds with you, let alone beat you, then that just says something. So if you are in there with a 7-1 underdog, and that 7-1 underdog looks like you're equal, and in a lot of people's eyes looked better than you on the night, then you are overrated. And that's not a knock. That's just a fair assessment, in my opinion. That's why I say he was overrated. Because, I just don't think he's like super special. I don't think he's like Sugar Ray Leonard. I don't think he's Marvin Hagler. I don't think he's any of those top, I don't even think he's Bernard Hopkins. Because the definition of a great fighter, one big thing in my mind when you're judging fighters and you want to call them great, is when you put them in there with fighters who are like right there with them. Like when Marvin Hagler fought Tommy Hearns, 50% of the people thought Marvin Hagler would win, 50% of the people thought Tommy Hearns would win. Sugar Ray Leonard fought Tommy Hearns. It's the same thing. And even when you look at Andre Ward, when he was in that Super 6, nobody thought he was going to win that Super 6. So when you do things that people don't think you can do, when you overcome obstacles and you overcome adversity, this guy, since he's been on the scene, has been at least a 5 to 6 to 1 favorite over every single opponent he's fought. He's never actually been in there with an opponent that anyone thought could stand a chance against him. And Daniel Jacobs was supposed to get steamrolled, and he didn't get steamrolled. He actually won the fight in a lot of people's opinions. So that's the thing. When you look at Bernard Hopkins in his career, he has the record of middleweight defenses. But again, he was an underdog against Antonio Tarver. He was an underdog against Kelly Pavlik. He was an underdog against Felix Trinidad. He was an underdog against Jean Pascal, and he won all those fights. When you look at other fighters like Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev, that was a 50-50 fight, split down the middle. So when people want to compare that fight to this fight, it's totally different. It's similar in the circumstances because of the controversial end, how close it was in that regard. But Andre Ward or Sergey Kovalev, they were equal. The odds were even. Okay, in this fight, Danny Jacobs, in some bookmakers, was a 10-1 underdog. He was as high as a 10-1 underdog. So that's the thing. If you're in there against a 10-1 underdog and he makes it look like it's a 50-50 fight, then yeah, you're somewhat overrated. Whether the odds makers overrated you or the public perception of you was overrated, he was overrated. I think he's overrated. Does that mean he's a bad fighter? Does that mean he's not a great middleweight? Does that mean he's not at the top of the division right now? He's up there. It's questionable, because of some people think Danny Jacobs won the fight. But again, he's not this unbeatable, invincible machine with no flaws. That's just the way I look at it. That's just my opinion. So it is what it is. I thought Danny Jacobs won this fight, but again, a ton of swing rounds in there. So you really can't complain. I don't think you can cry robbery. But again, when you have these types of close fights, it usually ends up that way. Someone's going to cry robbery if they're not happy. If they're on the wrong side of the decision, they're going to cry robbery. So it is what it is.
Let me circle back here for a second. Now, you said, now, are you saying Triple G is overrated in this fight or overrated through the course of his career? Just him as a fighter is overrated?
I think that a lot of the media has overrated him, yes. Because well, and again, this is the thing. I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
This guy was just they were talking about this guy like he was Sugar Ray Robinson, like he was Marvin Hagler, like he was Bernard Hopkins. And those guys all had marquee fights, multiple marquee fights, before that title was cast upon them. This guy's never had a marquee fight. He's never been in there with somebody who was ever perceived to be close to his equal. So let me say this, Eric. He was thought to be up here, and everybody else was down here. And even leading up to this fight, Danny Jacobs, even though he was number 2, he was down here, holding on to that number 2 status. Okay? So in this fight, Danny Jacobs was right there. So by putting Golovkin up here and having Danny Jacobs be down here, and then after the fight, and even before the fight, I said that he would win the fight based on styles. I had Danny Jacobs up here. I had him right here. Maybe you may have had him here, okay? But everyone else had him down here. So, by that logic, in my opinion, Gennady Golovkin was overrated.
But let me ask you a question now, because you and I had both picked Jacobs, and you and I
Correct.
both thought maybe like I said, I picked him to win. I thought it was going to be tough for him to win, but I thought he could win, and I picked him to win. But I knew he was a good fighter. I knew he was the best fighter the Triple G had ever faced. And as far as the caliber goes, it's funny because, all along, up until this point, up until this fight, the lead into this fight, we were kind of saying that, I was kind of saying early on in Triple G's career that, he's not really, I'm not really sold on this guy yet. He hasn't really fought it. He's knocked everybody out, but he hasn't fought anybody, But then we look at who he fought, and these guys coming up. You look at Curtis Stevens, you look at David Lemieux, who, now you see him and you kind of take him, you're like, wow, they are pretty good fighters, and you're like, and he just ran through these guys, So I think, and I'm looking at it back and I'm like, I think he's earned his place. I think the Triple G has definitely earned his place. Now, is he Mike Tyson? No, he's not Mike Tyson. He's not, but he is knocking everybody out. But I think that, I always thought 7-1 for Danny Jacobs was ridiculous. And and you and I have seen this too. Because we both follow the odds at times. We've looked at the odds and said, this is not that fight. There's no way this is a 5-1, 6-1 fight. This has got to be closer than that. And I just I don't get it sometimes as far as the odds makers go. I don't think that the odds makers should dictate whether a fighter's overrated, though. You know what I mean? I think that the guy fought the toughest guy of his career. He fought a really, really solid fighter. And I would put Danny Jacobs in there with anybody, any of those middleweights. You know what I mean? That Triple G beat, or any of the when we talk about marquee fights, to me, this was a marquee fight. Danny Jacobs is not like a household name, but this is a marquee fight in terms of talent. And it's definitely a marquee fight in terms of talent. And it's you gotta it's kind of like you saying, like with college football teams, well, they haven't played anybody. Well, they play who's in front of them. They play who's on their schedule. And with Triple G, he's got nobody there. He's got no real big names in that division. Floyd won't fight him. Canelo won't fight him. Nobody's in a hurry to fight that guy.
But let me interject one thing.
Chavez Jr. won't fight him, and he's way up in weight. So
let me interject with one point, though.
Sure.
When you go back and you look at the resume, and the biggest name on the resume is a welterweight, and people are saying, do you know that Kell Brook was a lesser of an underdog than Danny Jacobs was?
That blows.
Do you know that?
And that just tells you. I think it just tells you that.
And that just tells you.
Odds makers really don't know sometimes what they're doing.
But people were saying, I've seen people on YouTube make videos and say, oh, Kell Brook's going to give Gennady Golovkin a tougher fight than Danny Jacobs. These were people, actual boxing fans, people that follow the sport, saying that. So, I mean, the perception was out there. I'm not just – the odds makers, a lot of what the odds makers do is based off of public perception. That's how a big component of how the odds are made.
And I'm gonna backtrack on what I said and say the odds makers. I think the odds makers do know what they're doing, in the sense that you're right. It is public perception, and if I put it down as a 2-to-1 fate, they're looking for the action, so they're going to give you the best odds possible to bet on Danny Jacobs. So that's why he's a 7-to-1 favorite and everything like that. And Bullet Truth in the chat just brought up a really, really good line. And he said the Mike Tyson isn't the Mike, the Mike Tyson of let me see if I can find it here, because I'm gonna screw it up. I know I will. Mike Tyson isn't even the Mike Tyson you have in your mind. And I think he's right. I think that he's been built up by the media to you're expecting this indestructible fighter. And no, he's not an indestructible fighter. He's a good, great fighter, but is he indestructible? Nobody's indestructible,
I think Triple G, you mentioned a lot of fighters. You said they were good fighters. So the thing is this. If you have a very good fighter versus a good fighter, then obviously that very good fighter is going to beat that good fighter. But going into this fight, Danny Jacobs was just thought of as a good, decent fighter. And Triple G was thought of as an elite fighter. So when you put a supposed elite fighter in there with a supposed good fighter in there, I think at the end of this fight, the conclusion I can come to? You basically had two very good fighters in the ring with each other. You didn't have two elite fighters in the ring with each other. So this was billed as an elite versus a good. Okay? So maybe Triple G's not elite, but he's very good. That doesn't diminish him. That doesn't mean that he's not he's less than what I think he is, or less than what the public thinks he is. Obviously, that's not a knock. If you're very good at something, that's a good accolade to have. But if you're like in the top 5 percentile of your class, and then you tell everyone that you're in the top 3, being top 5 is not bad at all. But you're not top 3, but you're telling everyone you're top 3, so you're overrating yourself. You see what I'm saying? So by him being a very good fighter, there's nothing wrong with that. But he was being sold as being elite, invincible. He was being mentioned in the same names, just like Pacquiao was, of some of these great fighters. And those fighters did more things, and they did more difficult things. They were in difficult circumstances. They were in bigger fights. So that's why they got those titles. He's never been in a big fight yet. Not one. This was the biggest fight of his career.
That's a tough one. You know what? That's a tough. I'll let you go in a minute, Robbie. You just let me jump in here. That's a tough one. That's a tough one because, I don't know. I necessarily agree with that, because if I know you would think, like, say, Floyd Mayweather is an elite fighter. Yes, I mean that's who you would categorize as. Am I right?
Yes, correct. Floyd Mayweather is an elite fighter.
Floyd Mayweather is an elite fighter, but Jose Luis Castillo clearly beat him. I mean, didn't win the fight, but clearly beat him. You look at Marcos Maidana, who really shouldn't have had a shot at him. Gave him all he could handle, but
yeah. True.
And so do we say at that point, well, he's not elite because he had a rough outing?
But again, we can go back to the fight where he had with Corrales. He's a 3-to-1 underdog. Wasn't expected to win that fight. And then you could look at him going up and fighting Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now he was a favorite. He was a 2-to-1 favorite, right? But a lot of people thought Alvarez had a shot in that fight, and Alvarez won 1 round. This is a guy at the age of 37, 38 years old, okay, beating fighters 10 rounds to 2, 11 rounds to 1. And again, you could say that at the time when he fought Maidana, he was losing a little. He was losing a step. And then when he fought Pacquiao, maybe Pacquiao had lost a step. But again, this is a guy who in his younger years paid his dues, fought the best in the divisions, early on. And then as he moved up in weight, then you could say, okay, whatever. But let's make no mistake about it. When he fought Shane Mosley just knocked out Antonio Margarito, and no one ever knocked out Antonio Margarito. And Shane Mosley was considered at that particular time, the best welterweight in the world, because he basically had the lineal title. That was like before Floyd ever. That was after Floyd fought the Marquez fight, and then he went up and fought Shane Mosley for the title, but he didn't pay the sanction fee. So, at that particular time, Mosley was the champ. You know what I'm saying? So Floyd had those fights early in his career. This guy's never had a fight like Floyd's had. Floyd's been in several marquee fights. Manny Pacquiao's been in several marquee fights. Bernard Hopkins has been in several marquee fights. Andre Ward won a whole tournament, and he wasn't supposed to win. And then he went up and beat Sergey Kovalev, whether you agree with the decision or not. It was a close fight. Could have went either way. And he beat the man at light heavyweight. And that was a 50-50 fight. This guy has never fought anyone that anyone ever thought had a remote chance of beating him. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So in order to be great, you have to be in great fights. He's never been in a great fight yet.
But if we take that logic and apply it to say like Mike Tyson, who
correct,
absolutely nobody thought anybody had a chance of beating that guy.
Yep.
So, but everybody was still carrying him as elite and everything like that at the top of his career, but nobody could touch him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Robert, come on in here. What do you think about this?
Okay, first of all, I'm older than both of you guys. I've seen more fights than you guys. And I'm going to agree with both of your opinions because, look, I'm a Triple G guy, but I'm going to leave that out of the discussion. But in my opinion, in my lifetime, there has been several people fighting at the middleweight division that are better than he currently is. Marvin Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Carlos Monzon. If he was fighting if Triple G was fighting in that decade with those kind of fighters, he would be a blip on the radar. There is a talent disparity. Right now in 2017 in the middleweight division, he is, until beaten, he is the best in the division. Danny Jacobs is the one that has come closest to giving him a difficult fight. Everybody else has got a lot of work to do. That's why I think everybody's so hell bent on seeing the Canelo fight because, we want to see what this Mexican so-called legend at his young age is made of, to see if he could tackle the challenge. And we can't even worry about that because he's got a difficult task ahead of him on May the 6th. No, Gennady Golovkin is not elite, but he's not one of the greatest of all time, but his record is going to make him look like, for those people that come after us, they're going to see his record and they're going to go, wow, he totally destroyed this division. 23 consecutive knockouts. His record is going to make him look better than he actually is. You have to judge him on the type of people he's actually fought, and he's never been and probably never will be in one of those all-time great fights. You've already pointed out, Mayweather and Pacquiao have been in all-time classics. Hagler and Hearns, they've been an all-time classic. Hopkins defended the middleweight title 20 consecutive times, and several times he was an underdog. Gennady Golovkin in the middleweight division currently does not have anybody of that level. So, unfortunately, he is fighting in an era where he's the best in the division, but there's really nobody to judge him against because nobody has really presented him with a difficult fight until this past Saturday. Daniel Jacobs came in with the best game plan against Triple G I have ever seen. And I think a lot of what happened on Saturday night is Triple G was more concerned about Danny's power coming back, and he looked confused at times in there. But he had a good enough jab to find ways to win rounds on the scorecards. I scored the thing a draw. The only difference was I had Triple G 1 point ahead because of the knockdown. If he had not knocked down Jacobs in the fourth round, Danny Jacobs could have very easily won the fight on my scorecard.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, incidentally, I gave Jacobs 6 of the last 7 rounds. I thought he came on at the end of the fight. I thought he was bewildering Triple G, honestly. The footwork, to me, because Triple G is great at cutting off the ring, and this was no different. Saturday night was no different, but it didn't matter. He could cut off the ring all he wanted. He still wasn't touching Jacobs. Jacobs' defense was really, really good. And what did you guys think he was hurt in that fourth round when he was knocked down?
I was going to ask you because some people even said that he tripped over Golovkin's feet. You saw it live. Was it?
No, I saw it live, and it was 2 right hands on the face. Yeah, so he went down, but it looked like he was crouching down already, and it looked like more of
a off balance shot, right?
Yeah, it looked like he was hurt. Yeah, he wasn't hurt. You could tell. You could look at his eyes, and you could tell he wasn't hurt. And that's how I knew. And everybody went nuts at the arena. And I looked at Danny. When he got back up, I said he's fine. And Triple G pressed him or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't hurt. No, I don't think he was hurt at all. I tell you, he was more hurt by a couple of those uppercuts that buzzed him during the middle of the fight. And, my thing is I thought Jacobs was just busier, landing more combinations. To me, that's what I saw. But the punch stat didn't reflect it. But
the punch stats didn't look. I don't know how these guys are counting these punches, because when I was watching this fight, I totally thought Jacobs was outworking Golovkin. I thought there's no way in hell I could have, anticipated at the end of this fight the punch stats were going to have Golovkin ahead. That's why. You can put all the stock you want in these punch stats, and you just have to watch the fight yourself, man. You
really do, because again, I mean, if he lands X amount of punches, he can land 100 punches in round 1, and then if he lands 231 of 175, you know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously that's not what happened, but I'm just saying, if hypothetically, that's really what could happen. And again, this guy is a guy with a joystick, ringside, hitting the buttons. They make mistakes too, but whether they did or not, I don't know. To me, it looked like Jacobs was controlling the fight. Golovkin was pressing forward, but Jacobs was largely controlling the second half of that fight. That's just what it looked like to me. But again, if you go to the scorecards, it's one of those things. I can't argue with the fact that Triple G won that fight. I can't argue if you had Jacobs winning that fight. I mean, you really can't. It's one of those deals.
And let's talk about one more controversial point too, which was the weight. Now, this is just my opinion, and again, if anyone disagrees with it, I have no problem with it. But you train 8 weeks as a fighter to make weight, right?
Yeah.
So why do you train 8 weeks to make weight and then have to weigh yourself again? So why would you have to prepare yourself for 2 weigh-ins? The day of the fight, right? You should be able to rest, sleep in, do what you want to do. Now, my opinion is this: you either go back to same day weigh-ins, or you keep it the way it is. No in between. So what's next? You have, the weigh-in before the day before the fight. Then you have that 8 o'clock morning weigh-in. You have to be within 10 pounds. And then what's next? Before you enter the ring, you got to step on the scale, and you have to be it's just extra fluff added in there. So you're trying to rehydrate, and then you're going to sit there and say, oh, well, I got to eat just enough food so I stay within 10 pounds. No, you want to rehydrate fully. You want to be comfortable. You want to, weigh in what you need to weigh in. Because most of these guys in today's day and age of boxing, they're walking around at 15, 20 pounds higher than their weight class. So you either have same-day weigh-ins and force these guys to move up a division, or, you leave it the way it is. And, this having to weigh in the day after the fight, you shouldn't have to train for 2 weigh-ins. You train for 1 weigh-in, in my opinion. So if you want same-day weigh-ins, you want to put the weigh-in about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, whatever, let the fighter, be able to sleep in a little bit and have the rest of the day to kind of rehydrate, whatever, that's fine. Then you'll probably force some guys to move up, but that's fine. But to sit there and say, okay, you weigh in today, then you got to weigh in tomorrow, then you got to weigh, you got to be within 10 pounds. That's just too much. That's just too much, crap for the fighter to have to worry about.
If you're concerned, if you're concerned about a fighter's weight the day after, then weigh him the day of the fight.
Yeah, then just go back. To same day weigh-ins.
Right. That's if you're worried about what he's putting on, you go back to same day weigh-in, case closed. and then
that's it. There's no in between. I know it's not always good to have black and white, but there's gray area in a lot of instances, and on a lot of issues there's gray area. To me, this is black and white.
Right.
You weigh in the day before or you weigh in the day of. You shouldn't have to weigh in twice. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't like when either all the sanctioning bodies do it or they don't. Don't just have one.
And that's why the
guy
other
do it. And that's it.
I definitely want same day weigh-ins. That's the way it was. I wanted to go back to that. Case closed. Yeah,
I mean, to me that's fine, and that stops all this nonsense about cutting weight and everything like that. Let's go over Quadros or let's go over Gonzalez and Rungvisai, and then we're going to go to the phones here. On the undercard, Surisaket Sor Rungvisai scores a huge upset over, easy for me to say, scores a huge upset over Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Rungvisai boxed very well in this fight, but most people thought that Chocolatito had won, man. Everybody I talked to thought Chocolatito got robbed in this one. Chocolatito seemed to control the action, landed the harder shots, but in the end, Rungvisai won a majority decision to hand Chocolatito his first loss. Chocolatito landed 441 of 1,013 punches for 44%. Rungvisai landed 284 of 940 punches for 30%. Chocolatito was knocked down in the first round from a right hand to the body. It didn't look like that big of a shot, honestly, man. It looked like it hit him on the side. It looked more like an off-balance shot. Chocolatito went to one knee, took the 8 count, and got up. I thought that was very good too, because some people get up too soon, and who knows. So he took the 8 count, got up. It was brutal, man. The fight was a war. It was a really brutal fight. Chocolatito suffered a headbutt. Both fighters were cut. Both fighters went after each other in the end. Judges had it 114 to 113 twice and 113 for a majority decision for Rungvisai. I had this fight. Let me see what I had this fight scored. I had Chocolatito winning. I know that. 115, 111 for Chocolatito is what I had it. I thought that Chocolatito controlled the action. I thought that, Rungvisai was game, don't get me wrong, but I just thought that Chocolatito, just did the more damage and everything like that. I thought that he hit him with harder shots. I thought Chocolatito was, every time he landed, he looked like he was moving Rungvisai. That being said, I think this is too heavy for Chocolatito. I think he needs to go back down in weight if he wants to do that. But I think this weight class, these guys are a little bit too big for him. Second fight in a row, he's with Quadros, and then with Rungvisai. He hasn't looked great, but in the sense that he looks like they've been too big. The guys have been too big for him in there, and it's only a 3-pound difference. But when you're that small, 3 pounds is a lot. Robert, what did you think of Chocolatito? Did you have him winning the fight?
No, I scored it a draw. But I gave Roman the entire second half of the fight. This was even though I scored it a draw, I can understand why people would be yelling robbery here, because Roman just proved how good of a fighter he is. But I'm going to say something controversial here, and people aren't going to like it. But I firmly believe Roman needs to think about whether he wants to continue boxing. I really think that this is 2 consecutive fights. Now, I understand the headbutt was a major issue. I get that. But this is 2 consecutive fights where I've literally seen his face and eyes open up and really fall apart. And it's sort of reminding me like Francisco Vargas. You either take a full year off and decide what you're going to do before you think about coming back, or you walk away, because I really don't see him surviving too many more of these.
Well,
Pete, go ahead.
I thought this fight was close. It was competitive. I thought Gonzalez edged it, but this is the big thing. And I know a lot of people are talking about that he's too small for 115. But the thing is this. He's too small if he's going to continue to fight in this same style that he's been fighting in these last couple of fights. Staying in the pocket way too long. And the thing is this. He can fight on the outside a bit. He's got a good jab. He's a very on the outside. But once he gets in that pocket, something just clicks in his head, and he wants to trade with these guys. And he's just taking too many shots from these bigger guys on the inside. And he was able to get away with it classes when the guys couldn't hurt him. But these guys are moving him now. They're hurting him. They're busting up his face. And when you have that inside game and you're spending so much time in the pocket and you're really grinding and you're getting up and underneath butts, and he's got a lot of scar tissue developing on his face. And, he's busting up now. He's busting up like a nick here, nick there. His face is splitting open. He's either got to down and he's got to change up his style a little bit more, move a little bit more, and not spend so much time slugging it out in the pocket with these bigger guys. He's right. If he continues to fight like try to be Julio Cesar Chavez, senior at 115, because Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., he was hurting guys. He was pushing guys back. He was taking their legs away from them, and he was making them buckle over. I mean, he's hurting guys a little bit, but he's just not doing enough to really push these bigger guys back and stop them from punching back and stop them from knocking him back. So, he was being pushed back a lot in this fight. He really was. Now, he started boxing in the second half, and it served him well, but in that first half, he was in the pocket too long, and the damage was already done, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought, I tell you what, and I don't know if I were his management, man, I'd take him back down to 112. I think these guys are a little bit too big for him, and I think it was a bad decision, honestly. And it's just my opinion, man. I thought it was a bad decision. I thought Chocolatito won. I thought he won clearly. What did HBO have this fight at?
Oh, my God. What did Harold have? Harold had Chocolatito winning. I think it was 114 to 112, like two of the judges had, but two of the judges had it for the other guy. And now it's mandatory for the Quadras and this guy to fight for those titles. That's going to be the next fight in this division. So Chocolatito is either going to have to wait for the winner of that fight, or he's going to have to take on the Japanese guy. But I still say whatever he decides to do, if he continues his career, he's going to have to take a long time off. And let's not discount the fact that this is the second time in his career that he's had a trainer die on him. Alexis Arguello was the one that discovered him, and he's the one that started training him. And, of course, Alexis Arguello died, and now his longtime trainer that he's had for most of his career after Arguello died, he died. He needs to find a trainer that he can work with, that understands him, and maybe can change some strategies. I think this new guy didn't have a whole lot of, I don't know how long they actually worked together. I don't know if they were together for a whole training camp or what it was, but he needs to also look for somebody in the corner that can advise him properly, because if he's going to continue fighting, He needs to change the way he fights, and he needs to have somebody understand him and work with him properly. Otherwise, I don't see a promising end to his career unless he walks away on his own.
You know, I tell you what, though. I mean, with the right corner, I never thought about both. That's right. Both of his trainers passed away, man, and I never thought about it. But think about Chocolatito Gonzalez. I remember him when he fought Carbajal. I mean, he was able to change his style late in his career. I think that Chocolatito's got all the weapons. He can box. He can slug. He can do all of it. So if he gets the right guy in there, yeah, absolutely. I think he can make that change, and he may have to make that change for this division. I tell you what, I do not hate the Rungvisai fight, man. Rungvisai fight. I would love to see that one. That will be good. That will be good. All right, let's go to the phones. 812, you are live.
Good evening, guys. Eric, B, Robbie, how you doing?
What's up, man? How are you?
We're good. Man.
Good, Eric. First and foremost, man, how was your trip to New York? I saw you went out there with your fam. Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah, I sure did, man. My daughter's wanted to go out there for a long time. My daughter's 8, so she's going to have expensive taste when she grows up.
Okay.
But everybody had a real good time. It was very
awesome.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep it simple, guys. Like I talked with Robbie the other day. Like for me, Eric, this pay-per-view, like I haven't been this satisfied with purchasing a pay-per-view in a very long time.
Oh yeah.
Like when this pay-per-view went off air, I didn't even it just felt good. Like I felt like my $65 went good. I used it well. Like I didn't have no complaints over it. I didn't even starting from the fight. Like I didn't even really, and this may sound bad, but I really didn't care who won each fight because I was so impressed by the actual fight itself. Like I was just excited as a fight fan that the fights delivered. I know a lot of people were talking about what's your scorecard, and I'll tell you what, Eric and B-Rod, I don't know, man. I'm not a judge. I just sit and I just want to be entertained, and Saturday night really delivered for me. So
ain't nothing wrong with that, Joe. Nope. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Because it was I know that atmosphere in the Garden. I mean, it just had that big fight feel. I mean, it was huge in there. They had, I know they showed Seinfeld and Chappelle and a lot of different famous stars there. I haven't had this feeling in a long time, like a real big time pay-per-view. And both fights delivered, man. I mean, of course, you hate to see guys lose, but man, at the end of the day, I mean, when you put it on the line, you got. I respect that, So I don't know. I just feel like 2017 has been awesome, and I hope this momentum just keeps going.
I hope so too, man. It was such a great card, such a great play. And let me tell you a little bit about Madison Square Garden. It was my first time. I've been in New York for a couple of times now, a few times actually, and this was my very first time at Madison Square Garden, and I can't say enough good things about it, man. If you get the opportunity to go to Madison Square Garden for anything, go. It is a beautiful arena, and I can't even imagine. I was talking to a guy there who was just at Barclays not too long ago for the Garcia fight, and he said it is just as good, if not better there. He said in the atmosphere in Brooklyn is so electric when there's fights going on. It's just a fight town. It's just a fight town. And that arena that's how it was with Thurman Porter. When I went to Thurman Porter, I felt that. But I've never been to the Garden, but I heard the Garden gets rocking too. Yeah, it's such a
the one
nice
thing I would
arena.
say about the Garden, though, Eric, you can tell the price difference for me is the difference maker. Like, I mean, some of those prices for that Golovkin Jacobs were just, it's way out of my league. I couldn't afford that. Whereas the PBC cards are very affordable for fans to go to. So that was the difference maker for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got a question, B. Did you get a chance to see Colin fight on Friday night?
No, I don't have Bounce TV.
I did. I tell you,
man, I didn't.
Yeah, I watched out. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but yeah, he looked pretty good. He looked nervous at first, but then he settled down and everything like that. But yeah, I want to see, he's got to fight more. He didn't impress me like some of the other Olympians did. You know what I mean? Like when you first see him, like that's the guy, that I didn't get that feeling from him, but I got the feeling he could definitely morph into something, put it that way.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, I want to touch on something too. I know after the fight, a lot of guys are starting to bring up that you go to Twitter, man, it's all over it. GGG showing his age, or did he lose a step, or did he get exposed? My thing is this: I say no to all those answers. I mean, the man faced finally somebody who is like a very. That's what happens when the best fight the best. You can't. I didn't expect the KO. I know that he would probably put Jacobs down, but just because he's went down before. But when you fight elite competition, you expect to get tested like that. So to me, I still felt Triple G controlled the fight. I mean, that jab was just unbelievable. I mean, he just controlled it with the jab. He controlled the ring. He basically kind of did what he wanted, but Jacobs is a tough competitor. So I expect him to bring and push Triple G to the waters. That's what when you make it to this level, that's what you're supposed to do. So I don't feel like he slowed down or got exposed or any of that nonsense that I'm hearing. You guys beg to differ, or are you kind of on the same boat?
No, I'm kind of on the same boat, man, because like I said, it was a competitive fight. I knew that going in, it was a competitive fight. I knew going in, this was the best guy he has ever faced. We knew that going in.
Agreed.
And the other thing is, he didn't get touched up in this fight. I mean, and Jacobs landed shots, but it wasn't like, with who was the guy? Willie Monroe Jr., where he was letting him hit him, and it wasn't like Kell Brook, where he was kind of, giving his face to him, letting him get tagged and everything like that. I just thought that, I thought they both looked good. And like I said, that fight could have went either way. And I think it's kind of insulting to Jacobs to say that he lost a step or he got hold overnight. That being said, what is he, 36? Robert, what is he, 36 now?
35 he's going to be. He's 34.
He's 35 on April the 8th.
Yeah, so that's a little long in the tooth for boxing years, man. It really is. You're best at 25 and up. Between that 25-32 mark, anything after that, you just kind of see skills slip. But no, I mean, he looked good. He fought his fight.
Go ahead. The way I look at this is, I think this performance by both guys is going to open the doors for both guys to get more fights. You have a lot of fighters in the middleweight division because the way the media and the boxing public has presented Triple G. Oh no, we don't want to fight him. Oh no, we don't want to. I think you're going to have. Let's put it this way: when Tom Loeffler picks up the phone and makes phone calls to other promoters, I don't think they're going to hang up the phone anymore. I think they're going to be willing to make deals. This performance is going to allow him to actually make fights, and I think it's a good thing that the knockout streak is over with, because now that won't be used as a promotional tool whenever he fights. With him not knocking out Daniel Jacobs, it's actually going to make it easier for him to be promoted properly.
I think both fighters won.
Yeah, and Eric, another thing too, another point. He got, at the end of the day, he got the win. It's not like he lost, and he was impressive. I mean, it's not like he wasn't in there doing anything. I mean, he executed. It was like textbook jab. If you want to look up how to throw a jab, textbook 101. I mean, you can watch that fight all night long how he throws. So he still got the win. And I can't recall a fighter that's never. I mean, the guy just is not ducking anyone, and he wants to fight. He wants to fight the best. So I had nothing but respect for Golovkin. He carries himself as a true champion. I mean, you would think of him as like a throwback fighter, just the way he wants to fight the best. So I'll praise to him. I don't think he's getting old. I just think the competition is getting tough. Now,
Joe,
when he does fight, I can see that. I think that's going to be a slugfest, and I just can't wait for that fight. But go ahead, Pete. I'm sorry. I cut you guys off.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep trying to cut you off there. I didn't realize that you weren't finished. But what I wanted to say is I'm going to explain, I'm going to confess why I went on my little rant earlier. A lot of people were saying this was number one versus number two. But, I picked Jacobs. And you know what people were saying to me? Beep, what do you want, crack? Jacobs got no chin. he's not going to make it past the 4th round. So everyone I talked to, and I said, I'm picking Jacobs, right? Like myself and Eric, and I don't know anyone else that picked Jacobs.
No.
I mean, maybe there were others out there, but myself and Eric were the only 2 people that I know. And the reason why I went on my rant is because everyone put this guy on a pedestal like he was invincible. Like when he walks down the street, like he just parts like the Red Sea. Like everyone's afraid of this guy. And, like he was just like, it was like Godzilla in boxing trunks. So, that's why I went on my rant because, okay, if this is number 1 versus number 2, then why doesn't number 2 have a shot to win the fight? Why is everyone say, oh, he's got no chin? This is another thing with this whole friggin' chin argument. What would you rather have? I'm going to ask you a question, Joe, and you answer me 100% honest, if you would, please. What would you rather have someone say about you? You have a great defense. What would you rather have someone say about you?
Probably, man.
Honestly, I won't criticize you. What would you rather have? A great defense or a great chin?
I'm being honest, a great chin. I'd rather people say, man, Joe he could take an ass whooping, man. He could stand in there and get his ass kicked, and he won't go down. I'd rather be known for that. Be honest with you.
Okay, fair enough. And I'm going to tell you why I would rather have a great defense. Because if someone's telling me I have a great chin, guess what that means? That means I'm getting hit a lot.
Right.
And you know what? I don't want to get hit a lot.
Yeah.
To me, this sport will always be first and foremost the art of hitting and not getting hit. Okay? So people put so much stock on a guy's got a great chin. Oh, he can take a good shot. He can take a beating. And that was the big knock on Danny Jacobs. He was knocked out one time in his career, and all of a sudden he has no chin. Fighters that supposedly had questionable chins, and they were great. Tommy Hearns, Lennox Lewis, Vladimir Klitschko was questioned about his chin. Mark Breland, all these great fighters.
Who?
Oh, Felix Trinidad. Fighters with supposedly questionable chins. That doesn't mean you still can't be a great fighter. That doesn't mean you still can't win big fights. I think fights first and foremost. The art of getting hit and not getting hit first and foremost. When you bring the statistic, he's going to lose. Why? He's got no chin. Well, what about all his skills? He can't fight. So what was he going to do? Sit there and say, hey, Gennady, hit me in the chin? I thought that he was skilled enough where he could use his range, and I thought he could take a lot of that power away from Gennady Golovkin. Power's great, but if you can't always use it the way you want to use it, then it can be contained. That's my whole thing. And that's why I went on my rant earlier. Yeah. People were telling me I was on crack. I was getting ready to sign up for rehab. Like 10 people told me I was on crack because I picked Danny Jacobs. I was getting a complex. I was calling the Betty Ford Clinic. I thought something was wrong with me.
I got a funny story. When I was at MSG, hang on one second. When I was at MSG, I was up there in press row, and I was talking to them when they were asking who picked who. Everybody, to a man, picked Triple G except me. And the one guy next to me says that he was like, yeah, I love Danny Jacobs. That's why I'm picking him to be knocked out in the 11th round. He said he's my favorite fighter, but I think he's going to get knocked out in the 10th or 11th round. And I said, really? I said, he's like, who do you have? I said, I got Jacobs to win. I think Jacobs going to win, man. He's like, oh, there's no way. At the end of the fight, everybody thought Jacobs had won that fight.
Yeah, that was crazy. Guys, I'm gonna get up out of here, but let me just leave on one more thing. I got a debate with a few friends. Would you guys agree or disagree? And be honest here too, that this co-main event and main event on this pay-per-view was probably one of the best that we've seen within maybe the last 10 years, as far as like back-to-back fights where they were just okay. They're saying now that Gonzalez fight was probably fight of the year, and then that Jacobson and Golovkin was nonstop action as well. I mean, it was back and forth. So would you guys agree with that the co-main event and main event like delivered better than anything? I can't think of anything as far in the last 10 years where back-to-back fights were just a pay-per-view was really as good as this one. Or maybe I'm just, still high off the juice from Saturday night, but I don't know, man. It was just, I don't know. I was just impressed, man. Like I was electric, those back-to-back fights.
I think so. I mean, you have to go back. We were talking about this too over there at the Garden. We were with the other guys. You have to go back to like the Don King type of cards. When he put on those big, when Don King was putting on those pay-per-views, or with Mike Tyson and Chavez, and that was on an HBO card. You have to kind of go back to those to think about something like that. Because, I mean, these two guys for fights, you got to look at, like, say, I've seen UFC cards like that where we've had a lot of good scraps on those, like 3-4 good fights on that card.
Yeah.
Boxing, though, I mean, how many times are we disappointed after a pay-per-view? Tons. Or after a big fight, we come back. How disappointed were you after that Mayweather fight? That Mayweather Pacquiao fight that you shelled out $100 for. Clearly that wasn't.
And then that undercard was just atrocious.
Right. You didn't want to see the undercard because it didn't matter because nobody wanted to see it. You know. Yeah, by far. Yeah, this was one of the best cards I had seen in a long, long time. Yeah, for sure. Robert, what about you?
That's what I was tweeting out Saturday night, guys. Everybody kept saying, "Who won? Who won? Who?" I kept saying, "Guys, the fight fan, like me, the diehard boxing fans won.
Yeah,
fight fans who've been here and never left the sport, we won at the end of the day because you basically got an hour and like 15 minutes of just drama, like up and down drama. Like it was just each fight. I mean, those rounds, were like, I couldn't even sit down. I was just." I was on the edge of my, it was just electric, man. But guys, I got to get going here. But Eric, glad you made it backstage. I'm glad you had a good time out there.
Thank you, sir.
And Robbie, I'll talk to you soon, man. I'm watching your OKC whoop the Warriors, the B, man. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Joe. Good call, brother. Good call.
Awesome. Good call. All right. So, sticking with the whole Golovkin thing, there was a bet, and Beeb had bet the man on the line right now. You are live. Georgie, talk to me.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's going on?
First of all, baby, what flavor was that? What flavor was that, baby?
That was banana cream. Banana cream pie, baby.
Banana cream. Somebody got to go. This is my new food.
All right. So let me see now.
With that cut on the hole, baby.
Let me see if I can get this up here.
Jury cooking.
Let me see if I can get this up here. Let me start the screen share here.
Yo.
All right. Can you see this right now?
Body.
Yes, I can see it.
Right. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if we can play this. Again, my computer's slow, so I don't know. Maybe not. And we are screen sharing, and ain't looking too good here, is it?
Looking crispy out there. Looking crispy, baby.
Let's see if we can do this again here. Maybe you can screen share this instead, because for whatever reason, mine's not working.
I'll try it. See if I can do it.
Baby, you can be hacking your own video, baby. Don't be hacking your own video. But let me get on with my call, because you got somebody else on the line. So, listen, first of all, we got to call the commissioner. So it's supposed to be a blueberry pie. So you're going to have to do that over again, buddy.
Oh, God.
Yo, you guys were supposed to have a show yesterday?
Well, we were. Our usual show is on Sunday, but I didn't get in until 10 o'clock last night from New York. So I drove in from New York. So, yeah, we got in a little bit late, so we decided to delay the show till Monday.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you, guys. I appreciate that. At least we didn't skip a show this week. So that's a beautiful thing, for people who do it for free. I take my hat to you guys. Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem.
But let me go back to Beeps, because I got to go over him, man. I can't let him go. He's wobbly. He's about to go down. I got to put him down. So I'm going to put him down quick. So after you went to that diet of egg whites with the coconut oil,
Yep.
that shit didn't work. Listen, Triple G, let's get this straight. Get this straight. Triple G is signed with Apple and Jordan. This man ain't catching no L. He's catching no L, no day soon until those contracts expire. That's it. I cannot remember the last time Vegas was wrong. The fight night that we seen, man, that was this. This is where I go off. Anybody got kids in the room, please take them out. Because this is when I get emotional. I don't want to disrespect nobody. But let me start with Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones, don't you got robbed, my dude? Don't you got robbed by a gold medalist? For 20 plus years, I hear you cry, complain, and do all kind of bullshit talking about your goddamn gold medal. And this man get robbed yesterday, and you say whatever the scorecard is, whatever the scorecard is. That's what money do to you, Roy? This mafia be a straight up reptilian, spirit cooking reptilian, no empathy for humanity, feeding out of people's emotion, right on. And we're supposed to take this just like laying down, man. Come on, Harry, talk to me, baby, talk to me.
I don't know where to begin with that. Wow.
We'll try, Robert.
Is it true? Hey, I'm lying. Hey, I'm lying up in here. I'm just telling somebody in the pen tell me that I'm just lying. Or I'm crazy, lunatic, or whatever they want to call it. I'm just straight out, baby.
That happened in 1988. Holy cow.
He does, but you know what?
He be crying and complaining every single day.
You do hear a lot about it, but that was a legit robbery. That was a legit robbery. But again, I mean, as the time goes and everything like that, it's like,
Chocolatito got robbed, Eric. Eric, please, the Chocolatito got robbed, yes or no, baby?
Chocolatito, to me, I thought Chocolatito won the fight. I thought it was a robbery, but that's just me.
Robbie, not Robbie.
Come on, baby. This is our consensus. This is our consensus from all the fans. You must be crazy not to think that Chocolatito got robbed, though.
I tell you what, and I was walking home.
It's not for you.
I was walking home from Madison Square after the fight, and I was talking to fans. I mean, I had, I'm carrying a bag. I've got my gear on and stuff, or my badge on and everything like that. I'm walking back to my hotel, and I got stopped by some guy, and he said, "What did you think about the Chocolatito fight?" And I said, "Yeah, I thought Chocolatito won." He said, "Man, he got robbed." He said, "Chocolatito got robbed." And I asked him, and he was a big Triple G fan. And I asked him, I said, "What did you think about the Triple G fight?" He said, "Man, I think Jacob won." So, yeah, man. I mean, but the Triple G fight. Look, man, that was not a robbery. That's a close fight. The Chocolatito fight, I thought it was a robbery. I had a 115
We can argue with that one. I'm on the side that I think Jacob won, even though I was betting on Triple G because of massive reasons. But at the end of the day, if you argue that Triple G won, listen, I understand that, no argument. I can live with that one. You want to stick that one on me, baby, go ahead. I'm going to take it with honor. But don't tell me Chocolatito didn't win, brother. You know how high, we know about weight division, but we don't give no credit. You talk to 90% of boxing fans, nobody know who the fuck got a 112-pound title. 160C, 119. Everybody know from 122 up. It's like the other division don't care. We don't give a hell. We just, oh man. So after everything these men have accomplished, they just gonna rob them. Like Kovalev for 65 for free. For free, people. For goddamn free. Humanity, stand up. This is crazy, bro. These people, I'm telling you, there's no way. Don't talk to me about these people being human. There is no empathy for humanity with these people. These people, these entities are demonic, bro. Demonic. And then you gotta demonize them. It's just too much. It's shit I just can't take, baby. I just cannot take it. They're just pushing people away from boxing. Just give me some WWE, baby. Give me some WWE. Take that shit.
So you had,
but you know what? I don't want to turn this shit to negative either. What happened? What happened?
You had Daniel Jacobs winning the fight
all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. Dude got robbed on my view. But if you say what's a rough on this thing, I will not get mad with that one. That one I can let it go.
Yeah.
You know what?
Of course you can let it go because you didn't have to get the pie in the face for that one.
Let it go. Man, that's insane, bro.
Of course you can let it go.
Fighting with goddamn money, especially Roy Jones. That is, you suffer that yourself and your own skin, my dude. On your own skin. Why would you do that? Why?
Well, you know what's funny about Roy
Jones?
Get
it. Money cannot be that powerful. It cannot be that powerful.
You know what's funny about Roy Jones still talking about that is that you take a look at who was it? Park? What was his name? Well, Park Si-han or something like that, right?
Yeah.
You take a look at Park Si-han's life right now, and you take a look at Roy Jones' life right now. You tell me who won that fight. I mean, come on, man. Really? You're still talking about this? They gave you an honorary gold medal. You were the best boxer of the Olympics. They gave that to him. First boxer, only boxer will ever get that for losing a fight. He's the only boxer that'll ever get that. Right. Listen, you've gotten plenty of accolades. They robbed you, but you've been paid back, son.
But this is the thing about baby, I'm part of the human race. I love being a human being.
I'm part of the human race. I thought you were cyborg. But you were cyborg.
But listen, but sometimes I don't see myself as part of the human race. I swear to God. I've seen these people just fighting with this money. Everything is money, and money and no principle nowhere. Selling. Everybody got to get their own. I ain't no commie. I ain't no communist, baby. Everybody got to go get their own. Get this straight. But everything cannot be money, bro. It just cannot be. That's why humanity is the way it is, though. Have a fucking ball. Have a fucking backbone. Walk out of fucking HBO. I don't need your shit. You goddamn mafia. Fuck you. I got my history. I'm not going to back this up. Why they can do that? But now, the story is the score. And whatever the perception of the judges is the perception of the judge. Come on. Ooh. Anyway, I know you guys got people on the line. I got my point across. Thank you guys for your time and keep on doing your thing because you guys really, really, really give an unbiased opinion. And we really need this in the YTBC. God bless you guys.
All right. Thank you, Georgie. And I have that beep. Can you see it now? Can you see?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
It's moving. Yes. You're talking. And I don't have it on any audio on it yet, but I don't have any audio on it. So. But we'll be able to see it here in a minute. He's going to get pied.
Wow, you never know what you're going to hear when you do these shows, man. That was great.
Pied in the face. Are you seriously wearing sunglasses when you're doing this, son?
I got the cream in my eyes.
Seriously wearing sunglasses, son?
Of course.
Oh, that's messed up. That's weak, son. You're going to take a pie in the face. You got to take a pie in the face, son. Brianna's hit him in the face with a pie.
2 times she smashed me. I only told her to do it once, and she had to double up on it.
Well, good job, Brianna, for smashing him in the face. It should have smashed him hard, like.
She gave me the 1-2 punch with that pie.
So can we go all the way back to 1988, brother? That's something else, man. That's just great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, good job to Brianna. Special shout out to her for making that happen. Beeb took the pie in the face. We showed it live here on the show. You know, I tell you though, but you know, again, if Georgie lost, he would have took the bet. Yeah, he would have took the pie in the face. You know, Beeb's a man of his word. Beeb's a man of his word.
Sunglasses, Eric.
Oh, that's messed up. But hey, either way, we didn't mandate that you had to wear sunglasses. You didn't have to wear sunglasses. Beeb took the pie to the face.
I was was going to wear a helmet. I was going to wear a helmet if I could find it.
Because Beeb is a man and Georgie's a man of his word, and they both pay up their debts. I'm not going to mention names. I'm just saying when I make the bet and I lose, I'll pay up. But when people bet with me, somehow
and you know what? He hasn't called yet, Eric. He hasn't called yet.
I don't know who you're referring to. I'm just generally stating. I'm not even calling out any names.
Doesn't even leave any comments anymore either on the YouTube video.
You notice that? You notice that too? Yeah, he just MIA. Just went MIA.
Yep.
We're hiding.
All right.
All right, let's move ahead here. Carlos Cuadras versus David Carmona, 10 rounds, junior bantamweights. Cuadras won a unanimous decision over a game David Carmona. Scores were 97-93 twice and 96-94. Cuadras didn't look anything like he did against Chocolatito. He looked like an average fighter, quite honestly. That's why I'm dying to see him versus Rungvisai, man. I think that's a great fight, man. I think Rungvisai might get him. So, any thoughts on Cuadras at all?
I don't know, man. I think Cuadras.
Well,
these fights are looking tough for him.
Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Yeah, I think he's another one that just gets hit a lot too. He likes to slug it out. And the thing about him is he's got a good set of legs. He can move. So I don't know what it is. I think he's too concerned about being entertaining. That's the thing about this division. I think you really, if you go back to the days of Micah Carbajal and Chiquita Gonzalez, they had to really look good. They had to fight the way they fought to really get attention to this division. So I don't think you could be like a slick boxer in these lighter weight classes and get the attention that some of the bigger weight classes do. So I think that's why these guys fight the way they fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, could be. Ryan Martin, also on the undercard versus Bryant Cruz, 10 rounds. They were lightweights. Ryan Martin won it via 8th round TKO over Bryant Cruz. Martin is a very tall lightweight coming down from 140. He's got a ton of skills. His power may be lacking. I heard that we were talking about that in press row. The guy, he had seen a lot of him, and he said his power may be lacking, but he definitely is very sharp boxer. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but Ryan Martin, undefeated, 18-0 now. You guys know where he's from?
Ohio?
Cleveland, Ohio. What we like to call the state of Ohio, we call it Title Town. So he may not be from Cincinnati, but he's from Ohio, and that makes him one of us. So another undefeated pro. Just saying, just putting that out there. The best boxers on the planet come from right here, this state. Just saying. Also, on the undercard, a fight that I don't believe you guys got to see. Robert, and you said you didn't see the Andy Lee fight. It was not on. There was just a top 4, correct?
No, we didn't.
Okay, well, be thankful. Andy Lee won a very uninspired unanimous decision over Keandre Leatherwood, 80-72, 79-73, 78-74. My first question is, what is Andy Lee doing fighting 8-rounders? He hasn't fought since Billy Joe Saunders, but he's fighting an 8-rounder. I don't know what he's doing there. And after the fight, I asked myself, why is he still fighting? I don't know how much he has left. He didn't look overly great in this fight. The guy he was fighting, I believe, was 17-3, so he wasn't exactly a whirlwind. He was brought in to lose. That was his role there that night. He was brought in to job. So, and Andy Lee, I thought the fight was a little bit closer than that. But, I don't know. And I don't know where Andy Lee goes from here, to be honest with you. It was not great. All right. Now, the night before, and you know what? It didn't even hit me that, and I was in New York, and the night before, we had talked about, and Pete Rose there. Yeah, that's right. On Univision, Michael Conlon versus Timmy Barra. This actually took place in the theater on Friday night, the theater in Madison Square Garden. It didn't even hit me, and I should have gone to that fight, but it was showing family around New York. It was a tight window, so I didn't really end up going there, but I kind of wanted to, but whatever. Michael Conlon in this fight, this first pro fight, the guy from Ireland who flipped off the judges, if you'll remember, Started a little bit slow, but then heated up. He actually looked pretty good in his debut. There was some work that needs to be done, obviously. I liked what I saw. He stopped Navarro in the third round. The stoppage, honestly looked premature. If you go back and you can catch that fight on YouTube, it was premature, but it was just a matter of time, I think. So, we'll see where he goes. If I were them, I would market Michael Conlan the same way the WWF marketed Steve Austin, or the WWE rather marketed Steve Austin. They sell those middle fingers, those foam middle fingers, and pass them out to the crowd. And that should be his calling card. That should be his trademark. Every picture I saw him in leading up to the fight, he was flipping people off and stuff like that. And the picture, it had him and Bob Arum flipping off the camera. That's exactly the route they should go. Now, another story from this fight is Conor McGregor actually walked Michael Conlan to the ring. After the fight, Conor McGregor got in Dan Rafael's face after the fight and said, "You're the boxing guy." He said, "I'm taking over boxing." He said, "I'm going to make you eat your words." And I mean, he was really into he was really in Dan Rafael's face. It was kind of funny. And we'll talk more about that in the news and rumors section. Moving ahead here, PBC on Bounce. Did anybody catch this fight? Travis Kaufman versus Amir Mansour.
No.
Okay. I didn't catch the fight either. So Amir Mansour wins a close majority decision over Travis Kaufman. So there you go. There you go. And let me see. Bieber, you still there? Bieber, you're muted. If you can hear me, your microphone is muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now. Okay.
I didn't realize I was muted. I apologize.
Okay. And you didn't happen to catch the Mansour fight, did you?
No. I read about it, though. It was a real good fight.
Yeah, I heard it was a very good fight. Very.
That's another fight where there was no losers. Both guys look really good.
Yeah.
It was a close fight.
And went the distance, man. And so hats off to both guys. So let's talk about the upcoming schedule here. On March 23rd, is that Friday, Robert?
That's Thursday. That's the debut of the ESPN series.
Okay, yes. ESPN 2, Jason Quigley versus Glenn Tapia, 10 rounds middleweights, and Randy Caballero versus Jesus Ruiz, 10 rounds junior featherweights. And that's on Thursday. And let's see what we got on Friday.
That's the debut of the new Golden Boy series.
Right, and Friday is March 25th. Is that right?
24th.
Right, but what is Friday? Friday is the 25th. No, Saturday. Okay, so the 20th.
No.
All right. So 25th is Saturday.
The 23rd is Thursday. The 24th is Friday. The 25th is Saturday.
All right. I'm a moron. I don't know if you knew that or not. I'm an absolute moron when it comes to dates. All right. March 25th, Saturday on Showtime from Manchester, England. Jorge Linares versus Anthony $1 Million Krala. 12 rounds. This is a rematch for Linares' WBA lightweight title. And Jack Arnfield versus Brian Rose is on that undercard. Not sure if we'll see that one or not. Katie Taylor also on that card, and we'll round back to this in a minute. CBSSports.net also on Saturday. Nico Hernandez versus Patrick Gutierrez, 6-round flyweights. And on BN Sports in Espanol, Robbie's favorite station, Jorge Paez versus Daniel Sandoval, 10 rounds, junior middleweights. And Dusty Hernandez-Harrison versus Matthew Strode, 8 rounds, junior middleweights, will not be televised, so you'll have to stream that or catch it on YouTube. And that's it for this weekend. That's it. That's the action. Wow, not a pretty light weekend here.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the Anthony Krala, Jorge Linares fight. Beeb, I'm picking Anthony Krala to upset the apple cart here. I know Jorge Linares went and did him right there in England. Which was surprising to me. I thought Krala should have won that fight. I didn't score the fight, but I thought he was going to win the fight. He clearly didn't win the fight. Now, Beeb, what do you think about Krala's chances here? Do you think Linares does it again?
I'm picking Krala, and I thought that fight was close. I thought Linares edged it in the first fight. I thought that Krala kind of took his foot off the gas pedal in the last couple of rounds. But I think if he fights at the pace that he normally fights at, and he just continues to try to grind it out and grind Linares down and doesn't let him off the hook this time, I think that he can outwork Linares, because Linares, again, he likes to fight on the outside. He has a big punch. But again, he fights in spurts, and I think if Crawler can speed the pace up of this fight and force Linares to fight at a faster pace than he normally does, make him feel a little bit uncomfortable, I think that he'll have more opportunities. Now, that's not to say Linares is not a really skilled boxer and he can't control, the fight on the outside if he wants to. But I just think that Crawler, he's a strong guy. He got to Linares at some points in this fight, but for whatever reason, I think he faded a little bit, looked a little bit tired at the end. And I think if he comes in maybe a little bit better conditioned, I think he'll actually pull it off this time. So I like Crawler. I think he's a really tough, hard-nosed fighter, and I just like his style. And I think he can grind out a victory here against Linares.
Very good. Very good. I think so, too. I'm pulling for him. I was pulling for him last time. I'll be pulling for him this time, too, man. So we'll see what happens there. Robbie, any opinion on this fight?
Well, I didn't get to see the first one. I wish Showtime would have showed the first one. But just to make it interesting here, I'll take Jorge Linares and hope that we have a good fight. And props to Showtime for giving us this fight. HBO, this is how you do it. You show us fights. Don't worry about the money. Just show us fights every single weekend. There you go.
I had to watch the first fight on Roku. What's that channel on Roku that we watched the fights on, Eric? We watched that last UK fight on.
Yeah, that was what was it?
Was it Wealth? Is it Wealth TV or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah, I had to watch the first fight on my Roku. It was a sin. I was disappointed I couldn't watch it live.
Yeah,
well, no, I did watch it live, but I was surprised I couldn't watch it on regular television, if I meant to say.
Yeah.
No, props to Showtime for putting this on, man.
And somebody in the chat wants to know about the Marco Hook fight. AWE, that was what it was.
AWE. That's correct. I apologize.
Yeah.
That's the channel. Yeah, I have that on Roku. Yeah, it's real clear. And I have that on my Roku, and I only pay like $1.29 or something a month for it. It's really like $2 a month. I'm sorry, to get that subscription to that channel, and it has a lot of the UK fights on it. It's really good.
That's awesome. And
that's where I saw the Joshua fight. Joshua fight. I saw that.
And somebody wants to know about Marco Hook. He's going to be fighting April 1st, and we'll definitely cover that fight for sure when it gets closer. So don't worry about that. We'll definitely cover it.
They had Bellew Hay on it too. AWE. That's where I watched Bellew Hay.
That's where we saw. That's where I won my bet on that fight. Yeah, on that channel.
Can I say something, Eric?
Sure.
Now let me just say something. Bellew was like a 7-1 underdog, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, he was.
And then you almost hit your other pick with Jacobs. You were like inches away from hitting your pick with Jacobs. If you hit the Jacobs and you hit the Bellew, I think we'd have to be calling it beating the odds with Eric, and we'd have to get rid of beating the odds with people. That would be 2 huge underdog picks in a row.
And I tell you,
at 7-1.
And the funny part is that like I said, man,
pass the torch to you.
Everybody. A lot of people had Jacobs winning that fight too, so it was a close one, man. I was this close. So, yeah, man.
I wanted Bellew to win, but I did not think he was going to win. I did not. And you said it right when the fight was announced. You said it from Jump Street. Bellew's going to win, and I didn't believe it. But I'm happy he won. I liked him.
Yeah, me too, man. Good guy. Good guy.
You know what? For the first time in a long time, after watching the main event, I was actually worried when they were going to read the scorecards. I thought for sure that Daniel Jacobs was going to get a hometown decision, man. I was like, I was already marking this down as a loss, because
Robbie originally scored the fight 118 to 110 for Golovkin, but then he went back and changed a few rounds just so he wouldn't come off as being biased.
Somebody asked me today. Somebody texted me today and said, "Did Robbie?"
No, I did not do that. I did not.
Somebody asked me today and said, "Did Robbie commit suicide after the Golovkin fight?"
Oh no, that's terrible. Whoever said that should be taken out and
horsewhipped.
That's horrible.
Horsewhipped. So there you go, man.
Two boxing fans don't kill themselves, brother.
That's right.
Then you can't watch the fights anymore if you kill yourself. Of course not. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Man.
That's horrible.
All right, so let's go to the news and rumor. I think he was joking about it. It wasn't like meant to like he didn't really mean you were gonna like really off yourself.
He was kidding around, Robbie. We'll give him a
Kidding
pass.
around.
We'll
It
give
was
him a
all
pass.
good. It
Well,
We'll give him a pass. He can still call in.
We'll give him a pass.
He can still call in.
All right, let's talk about our news and rumors here. Triple G versus Billy Joe Saunders being targeted for June 10th. Golovkin said at the post-fight press conference, Saunders is the last step to my dream to own all the belts. Hopefully this fight will be in Kazakhstan. 100% I would like that next. Billy Joe Saunders sounds like he's on board to fight Golovkin, but then again, we've heard that before. Billy Joe Saunders told The Sun, I'll travel anywhere. I'm not bothered about fighting him in Kazakhstan. I'll fight him in a field for all I care. Sure, you'll fight him in Kazakhstan. Yeah.
Well, I got one piece of advice to that. Let's see the name written on the dotted line with Billy Joe Saunders, because he's backed out of more fights than most fighters. I want to see the name on the dotted line, brother.
Well, the thing is that I think that they're going to pay for that belt. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to give
absolutely they are
Billy Joe a pretty big, pretty big stipend to go over there and fight him. Now, and Tom Loeffler was Tom Loeffler said in the same interview, he said that look, he said I would like the fight to take place, I would like it in Kazakhstan, but hey, the O2 Gennady sold it out pretty quick, so there you have it again.
It makes more sense to do it in the UK, wouldn't you think?
I think it makes a lot more sense to do it in the UK. I think it does. I think it makes a ton more sense.
The problem is, guys, they're having this world event in Kazakhstan at that time, and Golovkin, by the government of Kazakhstan, has been named the ambassador. And the government's going to pay for all the fight stuff. So that's why they want it there.
Yeah, it's like a big thing in Kazakhstan. It would match up well with what they're doing there. There's something, like you said, what Robbie said is going on there. It's like a big to-do there. So this would really cap it off. A fight with Golovkin there would really cap it off. It would be a huge thing for the country. So
I got to ask Davey Boy in the chat.
I don't think he's ever had a hometown fight, so to speak.
Yeah.
I got to ask Davey Boy Essex in the chat. Who's Billy Joe Saunders' promoter? Does anyone know?
Wasn't it? I thought it was Frank Warren, but I could be wrong.
I think it could be.
Warren.
Yeah, I thought it was Frank Warren too.
Is it Frank Warren, Davey Boy? He'll let us know.
Yeah, he'll let us know. So there you go. Speaking of Triple G, staying on that topic, let's see here. Gennady Golovkin announced a new sponsor today, Hublot Watches. The luxury watchmaker has watches for athletes and celebrities from all over the world, including Usain Bolt, Kobe Bryant, and more. They will now add Triple G's name to that list. That and Chivas whiskey were big sponsors at the fight. If you plan on buying one of these watches, you better get ready to shell out some serious cash. Most of the watches start at 10 G's and go up from there. So that's a lot of G's.
Robbie's going to get one.
Robbie's got one. Robbie, did you get a watch yet? Did you get his Hublot watch yet? Yeah.
Tom probably bought him one after the fight.
Tom bought him one?
Big Tom.
Robert, we know you're his biggest fan.
God.
Here we go.
I don't have that kind of cash. I wish I did. I wish I did, brother.
Well, don't sweat it, Robbie. I was in Chinatown. You can get Triple G's watches in Chinatown.
Next to the Rolex.
If I had that kind of cash, I would have been at Madison Square Garden on Saturday night.
Oh, man. All right. This brings us to first. Frank Warren is the promoter of Billy Joe Saunders. So there you go. Question answered. Thank you.
I thought so.
Davey Boy Essex, Bullet Truth, Leslie Scott, everybody and their mother weighed in on that one. So yeah, Frank Warren for sure. All right. So Beeb, it's time
for the train wreck of the week. And Brianna's in the tub, so I got to do it this week. Chugga, 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 chugga. Choo choo! I got a cold. I'm sorry, I couldn't hit that.
That was terrible.
Horrible. I got a cold. The cold is killing me.
Kind of.
Brianna, you should have been there for me.
She wasn't there.
Instead of throwing pies in my face, you could have done the choo choo too.
That's right. That's right. Tyson Fury puts on a massive amount of weight. Tyson Fury was at the Isaac Lowe fight this weekend in Denmark. Someone took a picture at the event of Tyson Fury. He looks well over 300 pounds. I mean, well over 300 pounds. So much so, I don't think it's possible for him to fight before summer. I know he had talked about coming back in May. That ain't happening. Yeah, he looks pretty heavy, man.
Yeah, he looks huge.
Go to ringsidereporter.com and go check out the picture I got of him up there. It was courtesy of Fight News. Fight News actually posted it first. Yeah, man. It was. You remember the picture on Nassim Hamed we put up? Imagine that like times 20. Yeah. How much? Hey, Beeb, you saw the picture. How much do you think he weighs?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. At least 330 to 350.
I was saying like, yeah, that's where I was at 350. I looked at him. I was like, man, because he's tall. I mean, because he's tall. What is he, 6'6" or something like that?
6'9" supposedly.
And he looked huge. I mean,
Shaq is 7 feet.
Yeah,
and he was like 330 pounds during his playing weight, right?
Yeah. How? Yeah. If anybody knows how big Tyson Fury is, let me know.
Yeah, he's 6'9". He's listed at 6'9".
Okay, if he's listed at
6'9".
If he's listed as 6'9", and if you go to that picture and you see him in like the Klitschko fight, I don't know how heavy he was for that, but like you see him at the Klitschko fight, and then you see him now. You look at him now. He's at least 350. I'm saying he might even be
although
heavier.
the problem I have with that height listing is, if you remember the Klitschko fight, when they stood next to one another, they looked like they were almost the same size, and Klitschko's 6'6". So I don't know where they get this 6'9" garbage, because he didn't look 3 inches taller than Klitschko.
I thought he looked taller in the ring, but during the press conferences they looked the same size, and that was because of the shoes and stuff, I think.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
that
all right.
Very well could be. So, all right, Manny Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn in July. It's possible.
Wow.
A deal is in place for Manny Pacquiao to once again face Jeff Horn sometime in July in Australia. Bob Arum told a small group of reporters Wednesday morning in Manhattan, but whether Pacquiao agrees to fight or waits until fall is uncertain. Arum suggested Adrian Broner, Cincinnati's own Adrian Broner, or Terrence Crawford could be possibilities too. We have a deal in place with Horn. Hopefully it will be in July, Arum said, but I'm waiting to hear back. It's up to Pacquiao. He may decide to take off until the fall and then fight an American kid like Broner or Crawford or somebody like that. Arum said that several dates are in play. July, which will be whittled down as the Australian rugby dates are determined, so to avoid any conflicts in that arena. So his first option is Jeff Horn. Does anybody want to see that fight? I know I don't.
No,
give me Terrence Crawford. Give me Adrian Broner. Goodbye,
I
Jeff.
want to see the Adrian Broner fight. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I want to see. You want to see like Terrence Crawford fight Jeff Horn? I don't want to see that.
I don't want to see anyone fight Jeff Horn.
No,
wow.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see Jeff Horn. I don't want to see Jeff Horn on our TV screen until he proves he deserves to be on our TV screen.
Oh, you guys are so disrespectful with Jeff Horn. He's a teacher. Guy's a teacher. Show him some respect.
Who cares?
Show him.
Then go teach.
He doesn't
Take
care
off
about the
gloves.
education of American children. How dare you? Mikey Garcia calls out Keith Thurman. Newly minted WBC lightweight champion Mikey Garcia has some lofty goals in a recent interview with Fight Hype. He made it real clear that he wants to fight Keith, the one-time Thurman. I would also quoted by Mikey Garcia, I would also jump up and wait right now to fight Thurman and then come down to 40 and then 135 again, stated Garcia. I'll fight Thurman right now. Let's get him. Let's start calling out Thurman. Let's go to 47. I'll fight him at 47 in July. How about that? I'll do it.
Why?
Yeah, that's kind of.
What is it about Thurman that he sees that he can beat him right now?
Gotta be money. What else could it be? Why else would you want to go up there and fight him?
Wow.
Yeah, but hey, keep in mind, Garcia only got $2 million for fighting. Him and Garcia got $2 million for fighting. So it's not exactly like you're getting $10 million to fight that guy. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Do you think he has do you think Mikey Garcia goes up and he has a chance against Thurman?
I don't know.
That's a big jump, man. Right?
No.
I mean, they're both the same size. I think they're both the same height. But
close to about the same height. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Mikey Garcia can fight, but I don't know if he's ready for Keith Thurman now. I don't think so.
No, you stay at 130. Hey, stay at 135, and you get the winner of this weekend's fight. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean,
you could have the winner of this weekend's fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he stays at 135. If I were him, I'd move up, man, because at 135, sooner or later, you may be forced to fight Robert Easter. Robert Easter's from Ohio, so yeah.
What about Mikey Garcia versus Terrence Crawford? What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's a good fight. I think that's
that could happen at 140. That could happen at 140. But
that's what I'm saying. I'd like to see that fight.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say Bob Arum ain't giving him that fight.
No.
No,
he's done with Bob Arum fighters.
It would be a great fight, but Bob Arum ain't going to give it to him.
No, probably won't.
I agree. Yeah, and the consensus is they want to see Mikey Garcia fight. Well, not Mikey Garcia, but they want to see Pacquiao Bronner. I think that's a good fight too.
Yeah, me too.
I think Bronner gets him.
Yeah.
People think I'm crazy, man, but I think Bronner gets him. I just do. Hey,
I want to see Bronner or Crawford. I don't want to see him fight this Jeff Horn. I mean, we don't know who Jeff Horn is. We've never seen him before. Why should a no-name get a shot at Pacquiao?
I would go along with that. I would definitely go along with that, man. Dana White has gone on record saying that Floyd and Conor McGregor will happen. He was on Conan O'Brien. I do think it's going to happen. White told host Conan O'Brien, I think it's going to be a tough deal. There are obviously a lot of egos involved in this deal, a lot of people, so that always makes it tougher. But on the flip side, there's so much money involved. I just don't see how it doesn't happen. White also went on to say that he would not stand in the way of making this fight happen. So he said, yeah, he absolutely thinks this fight is going to happen. So with that, this fight will be happening. And my guess is it will happen in September. I don't know. I mean, if White's not standing in the way of this fight, Beeb, is there any way this fight doesn't get made?
Well, if they sit there and say, hold on. Yep. If they sit there and say that, they think that they're just going to give Floyd Mayweather a $25 million guarantee and expect him to just accept that when he had a contract with Showtime where his minimum was 31. I think if they give Floyd like a $50 million guarantee up front, I think the fight will get made, but not 25. No.
How? I guess my question is, they can't label this as an exhibition.
No.
Because an exhibition, you're not really trying to win. Here, the guys are trying to win. That means that this would count for his 50th. I mean, this would count as a 50th win for him. He will get licensed. He'll get licensed. He'll get licensed through Nevada. That won't be a problem. My problem with the fight is that you got a guy with 49 wins, unlimited amateur experience, Olympic caliber amateur, silver medalist or bronze medalist in the Olympics with Mayweather.
Yeah,
bronze medalist in
another robber in the Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 49 professional fights against good quality opposition, top caliber opposition, against a guy who's never had a professional boxing fight in his life. How do you sanction that? How does anybody sanction that?
Yeah,
well,
I'm not interested in the fight. Don't get
here's
me wrong,
another problem I see, Eric. Don't mean to cut you off, but here's another problem I see. They want to do this for September. Well, Floyd, he always wants those Mexican dates. So do we have that on Mexican Independence Day? Because that's the day that Canelo is supposed to fight Golovkin, if that comes off.
Yeah, let me tell you what. Floyd decides to fight Conor that day. That fight ain't going off that day. And that's the long and short of that. If that fight ain't happening, if that's the case, that fight will not happen on Mexican Independence Day.
No.
Because that fight will unseat Canelo quicker than they can eat a taco. Because I tell you right now, that fight will command big amounts of money. It will command big amounts of pay-per-view. There ain't no way that Canelo's trumping that card. Canelo and Golovkin, even though that's the fight we want to see.
So once again,
that's the fight we want to see.
So once again, Triple G is going to have to wait because another pay-per-view is going to outdo him, and Canelo and him are going to have to find another day because remember, the cable companies and satellite companies only approve, one major boxing pay-per-view, and both Showtime and HBO cannot put on a pay-per-view on the same day. So I don't know if it happens on back-to-back weekends or how that would work, provided that the Triple G and Canelo fight gets signed.
Well, the other thing is that Floyd had mentioned fighting him in June. Floyd had mentioned fighting, making this fight happen in June or July. So, that being said, I mean that's more of a feasible date. I think that works best for everybody. So
right.
We'll see how it goes. Moving on here, Adonis Stevenson will be fighting Sean Monahan, not the mandatory Eleider Alvarez. Alvarez will step aside so that Adonis Stevenson can fight Monahan next. Why not Joe Smith? What's this? Why fight Monahan next? Is that some big money fight that I don't know about?
I don't know.
Does anybody want to see that fight?
Because,
because
Monahan was supposed to fight Joe Smith before this all started.
Yeah, I don't really get it. I mean,
I know why. Because then after Stevenson beats Monahan, then they have another lined up fight with Joe Smith. So now he gets two, supposed soft touches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Joe Smith.
That's probably the plan, right? That's probably the plan.
I think Joe Smith walks in there and gives him the fight of his life.
Yeah, I think Joe Smith puts him out. I do. I think Stevenson is a one-dimensional fighter, man, and I think he gets put out, man. I really do.
How old is Adonis Stevenson right now? 36?
I don't know. How old is he, Robert?
You want to try 37 or 38?
Yeah. Maybe.
Wow, he's getting up there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. And then finally, Floyd Mayweather's personal chef has been canned. Floyd Mayweather's ex-personal chef, the woman who famously said she was paid $1,000 a plate, is no longer part of Floyd's crew, and says the fact that she's gay may have played a role. TMZ spoke with Chef Q, who is now backtracking on her $1,000 a plate claims, saying there was no real set rate for her. Sometimes she would get paid, sometimes nothing. But sometime after the Pacquiao fight, Chef Q says her relationship with Floyd fell apart. Doesn't really know why, but she has her theories. I don't think he's ever looked at me in the past as a gay person or a lesbian. Chef Q says some comments were made to her during the time with TMT were hurtful and felt homophobic. Chef Q says she still wants to have a relationship with Floyd moving forward. She considers them family, but knows they have to work out their issues. So there you go. All the stuff about again, this is why Floyd commands so much money, because he's a showman. $1,000 a plate. People, and clearly he's not paying $1,000 a plate for a hot dog, because that's what he eats. That's what she was making him, and stuff like that. So nothing, they weren't making him fancy meals or anything like that. So, and I'm just reading in the chat, Adonis is 39. So
wow.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
okay.
There it is. All right, let's go to the phones. Area code 619. 619, you are live.
Hi, Eric. Hi, Robbie. Beep, how are you? It's your friend El Chacal from Tijuana.
Chacal.
Man, Chacal was in New York this weekend.
He's very happy. He's very happy. Now he's got Canelo versus Triple G, and he's salivating right now. He's got hope. He's got hope. He's got hope for Canelo now. He's got hope.
You got to wait for May 6th, brother.
I know. And we need to wait also from June something, because we don't know for sure now with Triple G, right?
That's right.
Yeah, June 10th.
June 10th. No, yeah, like Eric said, I actually had the luck and the privilege to go and watch the fight live. I think it was the best experience of my life. Definitely Madison Square Garden.
something else. I've been already in a couple of different arenas. I've been in the T-Mobile, Thomas Mack, NGM, and Stop Hobby. That is my favorite one. But just Madison Square Garden is like a totally different thing. It's like a different vibe, like so much history there. It's just incredible. And you know what? Like I think it was a really good night for boxing. The fights definitely live up or exceed their expectations, regardless if we didn't get any knockouts. But I think the way the fights came up at the end, I thought it was the best that could happen for boxing because, you know, like especially for hardcore fans, which I mean, at the end of the day, Golovkin is turning into a marketing product as well. But, you know, his main fan base is hardcore fan base, you know, and we appreciate fights that not necessarily are going to end up in knockouts. We appreciate competitive fights, and I think that's what it was. I think definitely looking at it on the positive side, I think we saw different angles of Golovkin that we didn't see before, but definitely the guy that stole the show in this time was Daniel Jacobs. I think his stock rises from this fight. He showed a lot of courage. He showed a lot of determination. And what I saw, and most important, he showed that he had a game plan. And, you know, you combine those things plus the athleticism and the shape that he had. And, you know, that's the perfect combo to beat a guy like Golovkin. You know, like Golovkin, it's a great fighter, but he's not a machine. I mean, he's human after all. And, you know, like he showed it last Saturday. You know, showed that he's like a devastator puncher, but at the end of the day, you know, there is always a way that you can actually find to beat a guy. I mean, it's just a matter of like, you know, being with the right game plan and being determined. So, I mean, I had Jacobs. I haven't seen the fight on TV. I just saw it live, and I had Jacobs winning by 1 round, 7 rounds to 5. And, you know, like, I'm not upset at all on the decision. I thought at the beginning, like robbery, because, you know, you kind of fall into the moral victory with Jacobs. It's kind of like what everybody was doing, because I was very impressed when I was there. And basically, it was a good crowd. I think it was. What do you think, Eric? 80%, Phil?
You know what? There was 19,939 people there. You know, if it wasn't a sellout, I didn't see very many empty seats from where I was sitting. I'll put it that way. It was pretty filled. Okay, I saw a big section that it was kind of empty, but I mean, the arena is so big. Huge. And at the end, maybe like after the Chocolatito fight, I was so into the moment that I didn't put any more attention on those facts. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is that the crowd was there, and you know, you could tell when Cuadras was fighting that it was already probably, what do you want us to say, like maybe 80% capacity, at and least.
They were not screaming that much. You know, they were watching the fight, but you didn't see that like they were too involved on the fight. I think it wasn't until the moment that Chocolatito started is when the people got excited, and definitely he fought a really good fight that got everybody hyped. And, you know, when Golovkin came into the ring, it was just like a totally different atmosphere. Like everybody was there, and you could see that everybody, like maybe at least 80% of the whole crowd was going there to watch Golovkin. So it was a little bit depressing with the fact that Jacobs is from Brooklyn, and everybody there was cheering for Golovkin. But then the nice part was that after a couple of rounds, you could see how the tide start changing, and a lot of people start, you know, cheering up for Jacobs. And then when we were on maybe the last 3 rounds of the fight, the people was there for Jacobs and Golovkin. So it was a really emotional moment because, you know, the people was very into the fight. So I think that the fight definitely live up into the expectations. And well, like I said, I saw Jacobs winning the fight, but I'm not mad, or I don't call it robbery with the decision. I think, you know, it's hard when you have a fighter like Golovkin that has been doing this for so long, doing it really good. When he has a big fight that is coming up against Canelo, and then the guy drops the other guy, and he still stays very competitive on the fight, winning rounds, and then you're gonna take the decision away. It's a little bit difficult. I think the only one that could pull out that one was Andre Ward. What do you guys think?
Robert, what do you think?
I'm sitting here thinking about that, and this sort of reminded me of Ward Kovalev in ways, because at the beginning, Jacobs came out and won the first couple of rounds, and then Golovkin, took over and then got the knockdown, and then they kind of went back and forth, and that's why at the end of the night I was very worried about the reading of the scorecards, because Danny is from Brooklyn, and I thought, oh my, we're going to have a hometown decision here. And, but both guys handled it with class. I give them both a lot of credit. Danny's, of course, he said he won, but you didn't hear any yelling and screaming about the judges. You know what? If everybody does what they're supposed to do, I wouldn't mind seeing those two fight again. It's worthy of a rematch, but let's see if other things fall into place first.
Yeah, that was gonna lead to my next point. Like I said, I saw Jacobs winning the fight, but obviously, I understand totally the fact that Golovkin got the decision, and I'm not mad with that. I thought it was definitely Jacobs could have done things better during the fight, that I think he was under control at some moments, that he could have boxed a little bit more because he was frustrating Golovkin. And, I think there is things that Jacobs could actually improve in the rematch. Definitely Golovkin, there is other stuff that he can improve. I'm not going to lie, and it's not because, I don't want to sound like a hater, but I was disappointed about Golovkin's corner. I don't think the strategy was very, like I said, I was watching it live. I didn't hear what it was happening between rounds. But, I didn't feel like Golovkin did any adjustments during the fight, except that he was using the jab. But, he claimed so much the Mexican style. I didn't see him throwing any body punches, any left hook to the liver to Jacobs. Those were the supposedly Mexican style, the way that Chavez used to go, like going forward, moving, wobbling the body, and then like going and throw those left hooks to the body. I didn't see that from Golovkin. What I saw from Golovkin was a guy that was, definitely the biggest puncher, but he was boxing a little bit, but he was waiting on getting that big shot. And that's
I think Golovkin showed Jacobs a little bit too much respect throughout the fight. And I don't think he fought his normal fight. You didn't see him going to the body. You didn't, he stayed more on the outside and didn't try to do any inside fighting. Maybe the weight difference, maybe Danny was being physically strong when GGG tried to get inside. I don't know, but you didn't see Golovkin do what he normally does in fights. Maybe he showed him too much respect.
Well, I think at the beginning, it was a lot of respect more from Jacobs to Golovkin. And, I don't think it was respect. I think it was just
90 seconds.
Like he felt the punch from Jacobs. Probably is not, Golovkin has a really good chin, that's for sure. But definitely, I think what it keeps him outside was that Jacobs was punishing him into the body every single time that he was trying to get close, which is what it was the game plan, which was working perfectly. I don't think, the fact about switching stances, I think that's why he got caught with that punch and he went down more.
60 seconds.
Stunned by that punch. But I think Jacobs, he should learn a lot about this experience. And the only thing that I'm a little bit not so happy is the fact that Golovkin knew, because you can see his expression. He knew that he won the fight, but he knew it was a really close fight. And I think he should have said more about the rematch. He should be like, oh, yeah, I can give him the rematch right now. He went and he tried to deviate the conversation with the fight with Canelo, with the fight with Billy Joe Sanders. But I think this fight deserves like an instant rematch, you know. But in the other hand, too, I didn't see Jacobs asking for the rematch either, like too much. He just said that he was going to look on his future and everything. So those were the kind of things that, I mean, I think he was in the best position.
10 seconds.
And people wouldn't be mad because he fought a really good fight. Definitely a close fight when a lot of people thought he won. But, you know, like, it definitely deserved the rematch. I think right now, definitely Jacobs stands as the number 2 middleweight right now in the division. Definitely, I don't think Canelo will want any piece of Daniel Jacobs. I think if Canelo would decide right now to fight somebody, he will definitely go straight with Golovkin, because basically in what he saw, I think he saw that Golovkin definitely has some deficiencies and flaws that he can explode. I'm not saying that he's going to beat him, but at the end of the day, if he ends up losing with Golovkin, there is no shame on losing against the best. And then on top of that, he will make a lot of money instead of trying to go and prove his luck with Jacobs and then at the end up losing it and end up without that big fight. What do you guys think?
Let me ask you a question. Let me come back and ask you a question. What do you think Canelo, I mean, just after what you saw Saturday night, and you've seen Canelo fight, we've seen Triple G fight, and we've seen Triple G fight a tough guy in Daniel Jacobs. Because I tell you what, I don't know what Canelo would do with Danny Jacobs. I don't know. Do you think Triple G beats Canelo?
I think I think right now I still need to see Canelo fighting Chavez and see how he's going to take the punch of a big guy.
Yeah.
But I think right now, definitely fighting this blueprint that Jacobs left, because Jacobs left the blueprint to beat Golovkin. And that's why right now I don't think Golovkin will be the super favorite like everybody was thinking before on higher divisions. Because when he faces people that are taller than him, that they can keep him out of distance, he doesn't know how to get in too much. You know what I mean? But Canelo is not that type of fighter. Canelo is a short guy. It's compact. So I thought that it was going to be a totally different fight. I thought Golovkin was going to go against Canelo, and Canelo was going to try to counterpunch him. So I don't see Canelo doing what Jacobs did. So that's what I don't know if he can beat him. Maybe there's another way of beating Golovkin, like I said before, trying to counterpunch him on the ropes and get the best out of there. But I mean, that's a bigger gamble there, because Golovkin hits hard and he takes a good punch. And Canelo is not a big puncher. He's not a middleweight yet there. So I mean, if he took a punch from Daniel Jacobs, that is such a big guy, he's definitely gonna take the punch on Canelo. So, and we don't know if Canelo will take the punch of Golovkin. So if he fights that kind of fight, I think Canelo will end up getting knocked out. And I mean, unless that Canelo shows like a Santa Cruz face now when he's a totally different fighter than what we expect. I mean, basically the way that Jacobs made the night so difficult to Golovkin is because he was moving in the ring. He had a good footwork. He was quick, moving, switching from one stance to the other one, that he was confusing Golovkin, even that Golovkin is very good cutting the ring. So, but Canelo doesn't have that kind of footwork. It's a little bit flat-footed. It's like a version of Danny Garcia. So that's what I don't know, if Canelo will be able to copy that kind of boxing that Jacobs was doing.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it'll be interesting, man. Let's backtrack here, though. But what, we talked about the Garden a little bit, about Madison Square Garden. I know it was your first time. I believe it was your first time in New York, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So where does the Garden rank, man? Because I thought the place was beautiful. On the inside, I thought it was beautiful, man. I mean, it was just, I know the press section was awesome, but inside, man, everything looked so clean. Everything was picked up. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, it was the best arena I've ever been in my life. I mean, it was just gorgeous.
Me too. I mean, like I had the luck of taking the tour on the Garden before the fight that same day and during the morning. Remember, I sent you a couple of pictures.
Yeah.
I went and I took the tour, and remember how they said that there is always the theater, the Madison Square Garden theater and everything. I always thought the theater was at another building close by there.
I did
so
too.
When I was taking the tour and the guy told me that the theater was a floor below that, I just, like, it blows my mind. I was like, how can another arena be below this arena? You know what I mean? And they said that that Friday that you were there, on the Friday night fight, there was a hockey game at the same time in the Garden. So can you imagine that? having a boxing fight downstairs and then having a hockey game upstairs full up with people and you couldn't even hear anything. That's when it blows my mind when I heard that. And then they said also that one time there was a concert of Metallica on the Garden, and there was Bill Clinton giving a speech on the theater. So I was like, wow, that's impressive. And, you know, I took the tour, and they take you to every place. They show you the, you know, the memorabilia, the posters, the things about the Ali versus Fraser fight. You know, it was just like a place with so much history. And then the seats that I have, it was on the bridge. It's called the Chase Bridge. And it's basically, you are like in like those bar seats that you can sit, you know, on the bar. And you have like a small like bar table there where those are seats. And it cost like, I don't know, I paid like $120 for those seats. Mm-hmm. And you can see, I mean, you were on the top floor, but you can see pretty much everything. The bar, like 3 steps from me. It was like amazing. It was like the perfect atmosphere. Yeah. If I was able to go anytime, I would go anytime to that arena. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a bad seat in there. I mean, there really isn't, man. And did you know there was a concert going on the same day as the fight? There was a concert going on next door at the theater. Oh, same day as the fight. Because I came in. Oh. Because I'm going in the back way. Yeah, because I'm going in like the back way to like the press section or whatever. So I got to find it. You can't go into like the normal way. You got to find like the back entrance or something like that. They always have you go someplace shady, you know. And so you go in the back entrance or whatever. And I'm looking, and I'm right next to the theater. And I asked the people, I said, are you getting, they had like backpacks on. So I'm like, are you guys waiting to get in to, you know, are you guys press? And they were like, no, because I'm looking for the door, you know. And they're like, no, we're waiting to get into the concert. And I'm like, what? Uh-huh. I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, yeah. Toby Mac or somebody, some Christian dude or something. I don't know. And then he's having a concert.
And then another thing that they said is that because it takes them like 3 days to set up the whole the ice skating thing for the hockey game. What they do now, they don't take it out. So what they do, they put like a floor on top of it. So the ring of the fight was on top of actually the ice skate ring. You know what I mean? So it's there, and it keeps the whole temperature to make it cold and everything. So they were literally on top of like a hockey rim. It was like amazing. And I think next day the Knicks were playing. So as soon as they were leaving the fight, there were already people taking everything out to put the whole thing to the basketball court.
Yeah, it was nuts, man.
So one last thing, Eric. Yeah, one last thing. What do you guys thought about the Chocolatito fight? I mean, do you guys think? I mean, definitely, I thought it was a robbery.
I thought he got robbed, son.
Do you guys think this is the end of him?
You know what? Here's the deal, man. I thought it was a robbery. I had 115, 111 for Chocolatito. Everybody, to a man that I talked to after that fight, thought it was a robbery too. I think that he does need to move down in weight, though. I really do. I think it's going to be tough for him unless he changes that style. We talked about that earlier. Him trying to adapt that style, you know, a la Chiquita Gonzalez or something like that. Unless he tries to adapt the style for these bigger guys, he's going to have a rough go at it this weight. He needs to move back down in weight, man, because these guys are a little bit too big for him.
Yeah, I thought the fight was definitely a robbery. You know, I love how he came back. I feel that he definitely missed his trainer. I don't think the corner was very good. And when I mean the corner, I'm saying the manager, not talking about the cutman. Yeah. But Miguel Diaz is amazing. And I think if he wouldn't have it, if he would have a shitty cutman, he would end up getting the fight stopped or something. You know what I mean? Because he's one of the best. But the thing is that his trainer, his dad, I don't think he lives up to the height of that kind of fight. I didn't see him, but I went on Wednesday to the gym, the Gleason gym, and I saw people there, and they told me that he was just training there for the fight. He was training there, and they saw him really, really good. But at the end, I was like, I read about these guys, this Thailand guy, and I knew that the last loss he had was against Cuadras, which I think he looked awful on this fight too. And he had him against Cuadras, and he was beating down Cuadras. But the thing is that he was stopped because of a headbutt. So I was like, I don't know. These guys had had a really long streak of knockouts, or like almost like 15 knockouts in a row.
Yeah, it was
so I
crazy.
was like, I'm not sure with Chocolatito because he's not taking the punch very well on this division. But I thought he showed basically what a true pound for pound is all about, because, you know, after getting knocked down, he pretty much came back and he gave the fight of his life, you know, against all adversity. And it sucks that, you know, that he got robbed, because now, I mean, I think he got paid only like $450,000. So, I mean, I don't see him going back anymore to the pound for pound list, because to the first position at least. You know, a lot of people are already dropping them from the pound for pound list, which I think they're crazy. But I don't think he will ever reach against the number one, because, you know, one of the big things that it was about him, it was that he was undefeated. But now with this, I think he's gonna have to. If I was him, and I don't get the immediate rematch, because I think probably Sulaiman is going to try to give him the chance to Cuadras so a Mexican can get the belt again, I will go for Inoue. What do you think?
I want to see, I tell you what, I want to see Cuadras and I want to see Rungvisai. That's the fight I want to see next. I don't care about, you know, and everybody talks about Inoue. Look, man, I'm the guy, I'm one of the very few that says the jury's still out on him. Everybody else is sold on him for whatever reason. I can't even put my finger on why not. He's just, you know, you can't really, you know, have 7 pro fights and tell me you're the best ever. You know, because when I watch him, he doesn't exactly look like Lomachenko out there. So, look, man, I need to see you in there against somebody breathing. And don't give me a retread champion. Give me a live body in there. You beat him, you knock him out, you look impressive. Yeah. Maybe I'll be down with you, man. But for right now, I gotta see it. I gotta see it, man. So yeah. Yeah,
I think Chocolatito. I mean, well, I like what I saw from Inoue. I think he fights pretty. I mean, I don't know if it's because of my love for Eric Morales, but I think he fights very similar. Yeah. Very similar like El Terrible, and I think he's pretty good. Like you said, he's still young. And if I was Chocolatito, I don't see Sulaiman giving him the immediate rematch with this guy. Like you said, he's going to try to mix it up with the Mexicans there, and he's going to try to force him to fight the route and go against with Estrada or Cuadras before he can fight for that belt. So if I was Chocolatito and I want to go back to the main spotlight, I will do what El Terrible did when he lost with Barrera on the third fight. You know, he went and he got tackled. So I think if I was him, I will go and try to get Inoue, especially because Inoue is still young. He's still learning. So maybe right now this is the best moment to beat him. Otherwise, he might never beat him later.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good deal, man. Good deal.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thank you for calling in.
What happens? You know, I thought it was a great night for boxing, and we'll see what happens. That's the only thing I can say. You need to, there was a living proof this Saturday that you need to fight the fight, because we all thought that Jacobs was not going to make it. We all thought Chocolatito was going to beat this guy, and look, this is what happened. But this is good for boxing. I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too, man. Thank you for calling in, Chacal. Awesome call. 312, you are live. But before you go, 612, we're coming to you next. And also, too, for those of you in the chat, make sure to hit the thumbs up button if you haven't already done so. And go to subscribe to beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. Listen, man, we never ask you for any money. We will not ask you for any money. You won't see us with a Patreon account or a Patreon account or whatever they call it now, which actually kind of looks kind of cool. But yeah, we don't like to do that, man. We like to keep everything free, that kind of thing. The only thing we ask for is love. Just give us a thumbs up, or go to subscribe to Beating the Odds with Beeb, or go to Ringside Reporter on iTunes and subscribe to that. That way you get all our interviews and everything like that for free. So with that being said, 312, you are live.
Fight Doctor in the house on Rick James status as always. What's going on, gentlemen?
Doctor, man, how are you, buddy?
Doing well.
Awesome. Well, good to have you on, buddy.
Where you from, buddy? Yeah. What's up?
Yeah, well, listen, Saturday, I think, so I'm not going to call Bum Lufkin anymore, okay? Because
that's right. I forgot about that. He always calls him Bum Lufkin.
Yeah, no, he
Right,
did.
I'm not going to call him Bum Lufkin anymore because up until Saturday, he had not fought. I didn't think he had fought anybody, he hadn't fought anyone. But Danny Jacobs is not a bum. Danny Jacobs, top middleweight, in his prime, with a punch, and who has some boxing, has a great deal of boxing ability. So can't call him Bum Lufkin anymore, but what I can call him is Gift Lufkin. Giftlovkin. Gift Lufkin, because Christmas came early. Okay? Christmas came early. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year, and all of that. All right? Gift Lufkin didn't do himself any favor Saturday. And please let me explain why. First is, he looked beatable. He looked human. This knockout monster that he's supposed to have been, we didn't see him Saturday. He was MIA, missing in action. He took the night off, apparently. He didn't look impressive. All right, look, I'm just going to say it. I thought he lost. Okay?
Yeah.
And there are a significant number of people in the boxing world who think he lost too. Okay? I'm not sure that there was a robbery, but I am sure Christmas came early. I'm sure about that. And I heard a rumor that perhaps this pay-per-view didn't sell so well. So maybe he should have accepted the $15 million offer from Golden Boy. And maybe he shouldn't have taken this fight. Or if he took this fight, maybe he should have signed the contract first with Golden Boy and lock in that money, because now who knows? Who knows what might happen now? Okay? Listen, last thing, and I'm going to leave you with this. I think the worst thing that could happen to Gift Lufkin is Cinco de Mayo, Canelo Alvarez and Chavez Jr. have a competitive fight that ends in a controversial decision one way or the other. And it does really good numbers. And I suspect it's going to do very good numbers.
Yep.
And possibly it might be a good fight. But if it's if it's a perfect storm, if it's a good fight, it ends close, controversial, and it does good numbers, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what? There will be a rematch, okay? Because say what you will about Chavez Jr., he doesn't take the sport seriously, okay? He doesn't really have, skills, boxing skills. Okay. He's not really a super middleweight, or he might be drained or struggle to make 154.5 pounds. Granted. But one thing he is, which Gift Lufkin isn't. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a draw. He is a draw. And no matter which way you slice it, Chavez Jr. brings more money to the table than Gift Lufkin ever will. Because Chavez Jr. has the whole country of Mexico. He has half the country of Mexico behind him. Alvarez has the other half. Okay? And no matter how you slice it, those two will always do better pay-per-view numbers. Guaranteed will do better pay-per-view numbers than Alvarez Gift Lufkin will ever do. And if it turns out that it's a perfect storm, it's a good fight, a competitive fight, ends controversially, and it does good numbers, expect to see the rematch. Expect Golden Boy to tell Gift Lufkin where he can go and what he can do when he gets there. Gift Lufkin, K2, you should have signed the contract when they put $15 million in front of you. It was stupid. It was dumb. 3 times your biggest payday, and you can't find your pen. Shameful. And now you look like shit in your last fight that you lost. Okay, and you might lose your next fight. Okay, so I'll leave you guys with that.
I got one for you. Here. Somebody in the chat said triple gift. So instead of triple G, triple gift. I thought that was pretty good. I think,
triple gift. I like that one too.
That was good. I will disagree with you. On one point that you said Golovkin didn't do himself any favors. I think Golovkin did himself a lot of favors on that night. And I agree with you. I thought he lost the fight. I had it scored 114-113 for Jacobs. Beeb had it 115-113 for Jacobs also.
115-112.
115-112, excuse me. 115-112 for Jacobs. We all thought, and everybody at the arena, everybody on, most of the people on press row that I talked to had Jacobs winning. When I was talking to people on the way back to my hotel, I was walking back. I was talking to people on the street and everything like that, and a lot of them, most of them had Jacobs winning the fight also. I thought, like I said, man, I picked him to win. I picked Jacobs to win. B picked Jacobs to win, and we thought he won the fight. So, yeah, I think so. But I think he did. I think Golovkin, go back to my original point, I think Golovkin did himself a favor, because he didn't look that great. I think Canelo's going to be more excited to fight this guy. I think Billy Joe Saunders is going to come out of the woodwork and think he has a chance to fight him. I think he has a chance to beat him. He looked very beatable on that night against the top middleweight. Granted, he's a top middleweight, but he did show some holes in his game that Jacobs was able to expose. Now, whether Golovkin got exposed or not, that's completely different, because Jacobs is one of those guys that not everybody fights like him. Not everybody's got that same range of talent. So could Canelo conceivably do the same thing? That I don't know. But I tell you what, if I was Canelo, after watching that fight, I'm more anxious to get in the ring with him. So I think that Triple G will get himself more fights on a performance like that than he will knocking out, one after the other after the other. Go ahead, Beeb.
But here's the problem, and this is a point that I think Fight Doctor will agree with, because he already said something that I agree with. The Chavez-Canelo fight is going to do more pay-per-view buys significantly, in my opinion.
Double or triple
than with this Jacobs.
Sure.
This Jacobs Golovkin fight did, right?
I have a feeling that'll do over $1 million.
Yeah.
I have a feeling.
So the problem they're going to have now is Canelo's going to sit there and say, "Look what you did in your last fight, and look what I'm doing now." And now that $15 million may only be 10 because of that. So the longer they wait, the worse it is for Triple G, because number one, he's going to get older. He's not going to get any better. He could probably get worse. So that's one point. And number two, Canelo's just going to keep piling in. They're just going to keep doing these showcase type fights, and they're going to keep doing numbers, good pay-per-view numbers. And then they're going to say, well, why are we going to give you this? Look at our numbers and look at your numbers. So that's why they should have jumped on the 15, because now there's no guarantee the next time out that 15 will still be there. Okay? Because this Chavez-Canelo fight, in a lot of people's minds, this is just an event. It's not really a significant fight, right, but it's an event. There's a curiosity factor here. You got Chavez Jr., who's significantly bigger than Canelo, but then again, you look at Canelo, and he's continuously getting better in a lot of people's opinions, and I think he's improved since that Floyd Mayweather fight. So will the skill rule out over the size? That's the narrative of this fight. That's the storyline. And it's intriguing. And then it's who's going to be the king of Mexico. That's another narrative. So it was great to have that one versus number two. Okay, number one middleweight versus number two middleweight. But always remember, you, myself, Danny Jacobs, his family, and his camp were the only ones that picked him. So regardless if he was number two, a lot of people had him at a significantly low number two. You had the number one up here, except for me, myself, and you. Yeah. So it is what it is.
Well,
yeah. Real quick. Can I?
Go ahead, Fight Doctor.
Interrupt you, Bobby. But I'm sorry, Robbie. But to piggyback on what B just said, which I agree with, but also, Gift Golovkin has also lost an important bargaining chip, which is the knockout streak. Now,
yeah,
he already has just so much marketability, okay? And I think Saturday, whatever marketability he had, however you might think he's marketable, that has been taken back a step, because now the knockout streak has ended. The aura of invincibility has evaporated. Okay, you look beatable. You didn't get the knockout, which those were your two main, I think, marketing points: your aura of invincibility and the monster knockout puncher that you were perceived to have been, both of those are now gone. So it's sort of like, I mean, you had those two, and then the specter of being the number one middleweight, which you still have, but even I think that is now diminished because of the question in the questionable decision.
It's in question right now.
It's completely in question because a lot of people saw Jacobs, including me, saw Jacobs win the fight. So I think, again, I go back to Golovkin didn't do himself any favor Saturday. I think Saturday was a disaster for him.
Couldn't it be that Danny Jacobs, by doing the weight strategy that he did, wrote a blueprint on other middleweights? Look, if you want to beat this guy, this is what you have to do. You got to come in heavier than you've ever been. And you've got to be able to move, and you got to be able to do this, and you got to be able to do that. We know Canelo can put on weight, but we also know that Canelo don't move that well.
Well, I don't think it was really a matter of the weight, and honestly, I think Jacobs was smart to ignore the IBF, okay? Because that whole second weigh-in business, that's just stupid, okay? It's just dumb. You know, if you make the contract weight at the appointed time of the weigh-in, that's it, okay? This whole weigh-in 12 hours later, wherever that is, that's just stupid. It's dumb, okay? If the IBF wants to be credible, and I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but if the IBF wants to be credible on this whole weight situation, then the answer to that is simple. Go back to same-day weigh-in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take the weight the day of the fight. Problem solved.
That's what I'm saying.
But Robbie, to answer your question, I don't think it was so much a question of being bigger than him. I think it was just a question of using basic boxing. We saw the same thing in the Brook fight. Okay, basic boxing. You know, this guy isn't difficult to figure out. If you box him, if you have a halfway decent chin, okay, middleweight power, and decent boxing skills, you will give him problems. We saw that in the Kasim Umar fight, okay? Kasim Umar isn't a big puncher at 160, okay? But he gave Golovkin all kinds of problems. So I really don't think it's an issue of being much bigger than him. I think it's just having a game plan and sticking to it and having the skill to execute the game plan.
Yeah,
I agree, man.
And I tell you what, we go back to and we talk about the Canelo side. I had this discussion with one of the guys in the press the other day at the fight. I said, you know, because he was trying to tell me, he said that Golovkin will be the money guy. You know, once he gets all the belts, he'll be the money guy. And I said, he's never going to be the money guy.
Never.
Canelo, right now, there's no bigger star in boxing than Canelo.
No.
Because you cannot outdraw that guy. Pay-per-view wise, you're not going to do it. And I told him, I said, you listen, man, Triple G is a monster at selling out the gate. He is not a monster on pay-per-view. If you want to sell out a gate, that's your guy. If you want to sell out a pay-per-view, Canelo's your guy. And guess what? They all want to sell out pay-per-view. You know what I mean? That's the guy right there. You will not be. I don't care if the knockout streak continued. I don't care if he's got all 4 belts. I don't care if whoever endorses him, it doesn't matter. Canelo is the money guy, period. That's who the people pay to see. All the Mexican fans pay to see him. It is what it is, man. He's the money guy in boxing right now. With Mayweather gone, he's the guy.
I'll tell you what, I would even go as far as to argue that maybe perhaps he isn't the gate. Really a big draw at the gate either. I mean, yeah, he's sold out Madison Square Garden and some other venue, I think the Staples Center. But how come his fights are never at the MGM? Okay, when is the last time he sold out the MGM? I think that's the measure of a guy who is a real draw at the gate when people come to Vegas to see you, okay? Now, that hasn't happened.
And I think never fought in Vegas.
Yeah, he doesn't fight in Vegas. Yeah. He does a lot of the LA shows.
Okay, well, there's a reason for that. Well, listen, there's a reason why he's never fought in Vegas, okay? Listen, the casinos are paying the big money. So if the casinos are not paying you to be there, then again, I think the question needs to be asked, is this guy really a draw at the gate? Is he really? Okay? And until he sells out the MGM, I'll reserve judgment.
Yeah, that could be. I think they're very smart marketing with him. They take him to like LA. They take him to LA. They take him to New York, where they know he's going to sell out. A lot of his people are there. A lot of the Mexicans, they know he's going to sell out there. But would he sell out? Would he sell out like Dallas? You know what I mean? Where Canelo, we know, will sell out Dallas, or bring 40, 50,000 people in there to fight James Kirkland. They just take him to where he's marketable. Just same thing. Like they're not going to take Canelo to Monte Carlo and have him fight there. Triple G will sell that place out. Canelo, not so much. Or at least maybe he would. I don't know. But yeah, it's all a marketing thing. So yeah, very good, man. Very good. Well, thanks for calling in, Fight Doctor, man. I appreciate your call, man, and you are more than welcome here anytime. We love hearing from you.
All right, I'll be back soon. Thank you.
All right, man. Thank you. Good call, man. The Fight Doctor. Fight Doctor. All right, 612, you are live. Or maybe not.
Oh, what's going on? This is BJ. I'm calling from Minnesota.
BJ, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Was up to Eric and Robbie, the historians. So they also give great breakdowns. But this fight was very interesting for a lot of reasons, and I will definitely say why. One, there's a lot of politicking on who did what in this fight. I mean, to me personally, I felt like Danny Jacobs was outright controlling the pace of the fight. And he took a lot of Golovkin's best attributes away from him. And I think that was the reason why he switched to southpaw. He took away his left hook, which everyone knows is a killer punch for him. That left hook on the inside, when he goes either to the body or to the head, that's his killer punch. So he took that away from him. And that's why I think personally Golovkin was kind of hesitant to throw punches. He switched to southpaw. And another reason why this fight was so compelling was because a lot of people were thinking that Jacobs was going to get the Gibbs decision because a lot of people thought it was going to go to him. And it actually didn't. So I hear a lot of people everywhere saying, oh, well, it's robbery, it's a robbery, it's a robbery. I mean, towards the end of the fight, Jacobs made a lot of mistakes. He let Golovkin get inside too much, and he let him get a lot of those strong, stiff jabs in there, and it really hurt him. I mean, he didn't show it, but he was hurt. And also another thing is what was expected of Golovkin, which was to go to the body. That's what Jacobs did. Jacobs actually went to the body on Golovkin, and he flipped it. And that was a shocker in all. I mean, because he was going to the body more than Golovkin was, which is what a lot of people thought and expected of him. And then another thing that made this fight so compelling was the fact that in a lot of those rounds, a lot of those late rounds were swing rounds because you really didn't. A lot of people would say, oh, well, Golovkin landed the harder punch, which was either his jab or his right hand, or it was Danny Jacobs was hitting him with the more flush punches because of his jab, left hook, and then his right hand. So there was a lot going on conversation-wise with this fight. There was a lot of debates going on during the fight as well as after the fight. So it definitely raised a lot of eyebrows for the people who just simply thought that Triple G was going to run through this guy. And me personally, I wanted Jacobs to win, but I felt in heart of hearts that he wasn't going to win. He just wasn't going to do it. But that's who I wanted to win the fight. And I even had the fight 114-113 for Jacobs when I scored it. Because the first time I watched it, I was so into it. I was screaming at the screen, just like, yeah, Jacobs, get him. Because That's who I wanted. But then I went back and I scored it. And I did feel that Jacobs won, but the fight was so close that you really can't be upset with Golovkin getting the decision.
Yeah.
And what I like
was not a robbery.
Rematch,
Definitely
I
wasn't a
think he
robbery.
very much deserves it.
Yeah, he deserves a rematch.
He absolutely
Yeah, I
does.
mean-
Yeah, and I was really disappointed after the fight. In the press conference, he said he wanted to fight Billy Joe Saunders next. Clearly, that's the fight he wants. I understand that, but there really was no talk of a rematch. And I know Jacobs wants one, but and he didn't really harp on it at the conference. But the thing is, that that's the deal. He knew this was a one-shot thing. In that if he didn't get it, if Jacobs won the fight, is there a rematch? I don't know, because there was no rematch clause. So it was a one and done thing. So but the flip side of that is, if Jacobs beat Triple G, do you think Triple G gets a rematch? My feeling is no. I don't think he does. So, there's two sides to that coin as well.
Absolutely. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that even if Triple G does get the loss, he still goes after Billy Joe Saunders, which he thought would have been the soft touch. Then he comes back, reclaims the belts with Jacobs, then goes for Canelo early next year. That's what I think would have happened there.
Yeah.
If that scenario had come about. But since it happened this way, I think that Daniel Jacobs, he more or less goes back to the drawing board, figures out what's going to happen next. And then Golovkin, I was surprised too that he asked for Billy Joe Saunders next. I mean, it wasn't clear that you won this fight. It wasn't clear.
Well, I heard somebody suggest earlier on another show that Danny Jacobs could fight David Lemieux next. What do you guys think about that possibility?
That who's going to fight David Lemieux?
No.
Danny Jacobs.
Makes no sense. No title.
Doesn't make any sense.
Title makes no sense.
No,
in my opinion.
It's a good fight.
No,
don't get me wrong. That's a good
that
fight.
should happen either.
It's a good fight. I'd like to see it, and if it happens, that's great. But yeah, that fight's not happening next. I think David Lemieux is spinning his wheels at 160. He needs to move up. He needs to move to 168.
I agree.
He's much
Eric,
better
I've
suited.
agreed with that
Much
all
better
along,
suited for that division. For
somebody
sure.
did throw that out earlier today. So.
Yeah.
So imagine if Jacobs goes to 168 and Lemieux goes to 168. That division gets exciting all of a sudden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Peter Quillen's already up there too. So
Did he move up? He moved up. Or he's
yeah, he moved up.
all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, I think that right now, if really what's going to happen right now is that it's going to be a war of debate with Golden Boy and K2 right now, because Triple G has officially been exposed. Because with the Kell Brooks situation, I mean, that was the welterweight going against the middleweight, and people will say that, he wasn't really taking him seriously. He wasn't a big threat to him, so he let him land a few punches. So there's going to be that rhetoric. But right now, you can say that the game plan has been laid out. And the one person that everyone thought wasn't going to do it, did it. So there's going to be a lot of horns raised when it comes to negotiating their fight now. And then if you're speaking with the Chavez fight, I mean, I think what's going to happen in that fight is that they're going to make it to where it's going to be a controversial fight, or at least a good one. So then when he does get that 1 million, or if he does get that million in buys or close to that million in buys, they're going to immediately go for that rematch again and give him another fight so they can make that money again. That's what I personally think happens. And then Cinco de Mayo next year, depending on what happens in a rematch with Chavez, then they go for Triple G. So that's what I personally think is going to be the next move here. But with this fight, it was compelling for a lot of reasons. And, I think Daniel Jacobs showed what type of warrior he is. Even though a lot of people doubted him, he showed what kind of fighter he really is, and he deserves the respect that he earned that night. He earned Triple G's respect, even though he respected him a lot during the fight because he didn't throw a lot of punches, even though CompuBox says, oh, well, he threw more punches. I didn't see it. But
I didn't see it either. I agree. I don't know what CompuBox is looking at.
Well, I think not only that is Jacobs earned everybody's respect, or everybody earned, he made everybody earn his respect that night because nobody thought he had a shot. I mean, like I said, outside of myself, Beeb, and Jacobs' family, nobody thought he was winning that fight. And nobody thought he was going to be competitive in that fight. 7-1 says he wasn't going to be competitive in that fight, and we knew he would be. And I think that he really, got everybody's respect at that fight. So. Absolutely. So hats off to Daniel Jacobs, man, for sure.
I was standing.
Yeah.
I think I was one of them that thought that he didn't have a chance and that he was not going to make it to 12 rounds. I was one of them. I wanted him to win so badly, but I did not think he was going to make it to the 12th round. And he did that. And he hurt Golovkin a lot of times in this fight, which I expected to happen, but I thought he was going to do it differently. But the way he did it was so magnificent, and he played chess with Golovkin, and he did it so well. So whatever he has next going on, I don't care. If you weren't a fan of Daniel Jacobs before now, you ought to be now. There's no excuse why you should not be.
Very well said.
But that was my call. And I thank you very much for what you're doing, and keep everything up. And I definitely will be calling back.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Good call, man. Good call.
I think one other factor people are neglecting to mention too is how much longer can Jacob stay at this weight? He may not even be able to stay at 160 long enough for there to be a rematch.
No, he might have to move.
Yeah,
man, that'll be a competitive division. Man, if Lemieux moves up and Jacobs moves up and Quillen's moved up, 168 all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's a good
brother.
Well, what did you say? He hydrated up to 180 on that fight? He hydrated up to 180?
The rumor is he was 176 the morning of the fight, about 8 p.m. 8 a.m., excuse me, I'm sorry.
So by fight time, he had to be over 180.
Yeah, he had a problem. Fight time, probably put on another 5 pounds. He's probably like 180, 181. Yeah. The fucking beast.
That's why I said, do you think, now I know Canelo can put on weight. We've seen him do it. But do you think Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo could put on enough weight to actually absorb Golovkin's power? Or is Danny Jacobs the only one that has the skills to do what he did on Saturday night?
Well, no, man. Canelo's got skills, and Canelo has a legit shot if they fight. Look, man, I thought Liam Smith had a chance. I thought Liam Smith had a chance against Canelo. I thought Liam Smith was a decent boxer, had good skills. Canelo destroyed that guy. Yeah. That wasn't even close.
Robbie, the thing is this, though. Again, and no offense, I know you keep talking about the weight, but I really think it was the strategy.
Yeah.
I really think it was the strategy. Go back and look at the Kell Brook fight. He was still taking Triple G shots pretty well. The thing is this. He was fighting him on the outside. If you don't let Triple G into that pocket where he can crank up those left hooks and go to that body, then he can still hurt you from the outside, but not as significantly as he can when he's up in that mid-range to close range area in the pocket where he can rip that body and throw that left hook. Exactly. And again, I said this a couple of days ago, and I said it earlier in the show. Just to reiterate what the caller said. Going in that southpaw stance and taking that left hook away from Triple G, I mean, that was huge because he didn't land any left hooks. And if you go back and look at all the highlight reel knockouts of Triple G, they all are with that left hook. And, I'm not saying the right hand is a cupcake, but that left hook is a murderous punch from him. And if you take that away from him, it only helps your chances, which I think helped Danny Jacobs' chances.
Very good, man. Very good. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert, or you can call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 773-572-7781 and leave him a message. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at JHabib1 and find his YouTube channel at www.beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. Go subscribe to them, man. Go like these guys on Twitter, man. Go follow them. Show us some love, man. Show us some love. I'm at Ringside 73, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everybody.